What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever live edition of the Roundtable mock draft here on King Kraken Sports. You guys know me, King Kraken, aka Mike, joining me from Halifax, Nova Scotia. He is the linebacker of the St. Mary's University. What are you guys, the Huskies?
Yeah.
I already done fucked this up.
St. Mary's Huskies, baby.
Yeah. Lawson Morisuti. Fuck,
Hey,
I
what's
done
up?
fucked this up. And
Nah,
joining us
good.
from Atlanta, Georgia, hot Atlanta,
Georgia.
from Kennesaw State University, Jeremy Welch, a.k.a. the Texas Homeboy. What's up, Jeremy?
What's going on, man? Ready to get
All
started?
right. So, for those of you that may have seen this shit, when Lawson and I did this last year, we're going to have some fun. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of cursing. So if you want this to be PG like the NFL Network specials, you got another thing coming.
I was about to say you came to the wrong place.
Came to the wrong place, man. Lawson and I barely get through sentences without cursing.
That's true, still.
And if you were expecting this to be some sort of short, like 25-minute, half an hour long special, again, you came to the wrong place, man. Lawson and I went an hour and a half last year with 31 picks. Now we got 3 mouths and 32 picks.
Yeah.
3 different opinions. Shit's going to pop off. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to go through the whole draft order for everyone watching right now. But what we will do is we all have our draft order. We'll go through. I'll let you guys know, those watching, who's picking for what. We'll probably give about a minute and a half. And then the other 2 of us will give like a little bit of feedback. While I'm thinking about it, let me just pull up my draft board. All fucking way too many fucking players that I scouted this year.
Yeah, you did a ton, bro. I don't know how you got.
Holy shit, man! I did last year 175, and this year I did 277.
Jesus,
that's crazy, bro.
I had less free time this year.
That's what I was saying. I was like, last year you were pretty swamped, but this year you were hella swamped.
Well, I did most of my scouting in first semester when I had less shit to do.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, so I got my draft board pulled up. Let me just check. You guys can, again, you can give us all of the feedback you guys want in the comments section. I can't see any of your comments, but I'm assuming they're probably going to be telling us we're idiots.
Of course, every mock draft.
Every mock draft ever, man. Every mock draft ever.
Yep.
So,
an opinion.
First off, for the second year in a row, Lawson, you get to pick first overall, and you get to go with the Cleveland Browns. Is this obvious?
Yeah, I think it's a little obvious. I mean, I think this is pretty much the only consensus pick throughout the whole draft. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I was saying to Jeremy that at pick 2, shit pops off, and exactly. I have no idea.
From 2, honestly, all the way to 32, shit just gets random. And there's some that are, a little bit more obvious than others and a little bit more certain than others. But, I mean, I think at the top of the board here, you look at the needs that Cleveland has. They could take anybody, realistically. They need everybody,
Browns.
Is the thing. Yeah, they need everybody. But, next to quarterback, pass rusher, defensive end, established franchise player there is what you need the most in a team trying to rebuild and look to win some games. So, obviously, I'm taking Myles Garrett here. I mean, I don't think that's any surprise because there's no quarterback who'd take a number 1 overall in this year's draft, and there's nobody else who'd take number 1 overall to kind of really affect your team. So I think Garrett has an immediate impact. He's worthy of the number 1 pick, despite what Warren Sapp says.
Fuck Warren Sapp. Fuck Warren Sapp.
I take Garrett.
All right, man. Jeremy, I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement. I mean, I know you're a Longhorns fan, so I want to see what the Longhorns fan has to say about an A&M guy going number 1.
I mean, I'm not like ecstatic about it, but I'm not really upset. I mean, Garrett's a fantastic player, and be a little bit more of a case for a quarterback at 1 if the Browns didn't have the 12th pick.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm hearing that they might still do it, but I mean, they absolutely shouldn't be doing that.
Oh,
No.
I don't know. I think that's just rumors and shit. You know, I think with
think
who
it's a
they
lot
have
of-
in, I think who they have in there now, like, has a little bit of sense like behind them. You know, I think they've made some good moves, especially in free agency. They picked up some players that they needed, and that's why with my 12th pick in the draft, you may see something a little bit unconventional if he's still there on the board. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think, they have some sense not to fuck this one completely up. Knowing what they have this year and next year draft pick wise, I think they're not going to completely fuck this up. So,
well, since you mentioned the 12th pick, I just want to get this out there. So Lawson's going to be picking both picks for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Based on the draft order we created, I've got both picks for Tennessee and both picks for New Orleans. So we end up getting, I think Lawson's got 11 picks. Yeah. I've got 11 picks, and Jeremy, you've got 10.
Yeah.
It's all good.
All right. So I'm on the board next with the San Francisco 49ers. And as Lawson said, the moment that San Francisco goes on the clock, the whole draft becomes a complete crapshoot because everyone knows that Garrett's going number one. But I think a lot of people have differing opinions on the second pick, whether or not there's going to be a quarterback, which there shouldn't be. They paid Brian Hoyer, and they've got Matt Barkley. I just
honestly, you could go anywhere with these guys.
Some people say Solomon Thomas, but Lawson, my opinion on Solomon Thomas.
I do, and honestly, I would agree with Thomas here too. I wouldn't be opposed to it or kind of turn my nose to it. I
can't pick someone that high when he's rated. What the fuck is he rated on my board? He's rated 38th on my board. I can't do that.
38, bro. You don't.
I got him at 38. Yeah. I mean, Lawson, I think you know where I would go if circumstances were perfect, but unfortunately, circumstances aren't perfect, and he's hurt. So I'm going to go with the next best thing. Curveball at number 2, Marshawn Lattimore.
Ooh, good one.
I've seen that. I've seen a couple mocks that have him going number 2.
Yeah, you know what? I was watching the NFL mock draft roundtable thing that they did on NFL Network, and man, speaking like Warren Sapp on Myles Garrett, Ike Taylor on Marshawn Lattimore, man. This dude was like, he accused him of faking a hamstring injury against Clemson.
Yeah, shit's ridiculous.
Like, Ike Taylor, sit all of the fuck down.
Yeah, shit's ridiculous, bro. I don't know how people kind of come through like that. Obviously, I understand they're putting the media spin on it and trying to jazz it up and shit, but especially as a former player, what these guys are going through. How are you going to call them in out like that? Like, that's come on now.
You know what? I call this attention scouting. It's the same. It's like the same people that'll say like, Mitch. There's one guy on Twitter. What's his name? Fucking Kyle Krabs, and he's got his own podcast. He runs NDT Scouting. He's like, I was the first one to find Marshawn Lattimore. I was talking about him in October. Good for you. Here's a cookie. Like, what the fuck do you want?
Exactly.
And that to me, shit like that, it drives me nuts. Jeremy, you're up next with the Bears.
Okay. I've actually seen a couple people go Watson with this pick, and heard that the Bears really like Deshaun Watson, but I think it's a little too early, and like y'all said, there really isn't a quarterback that I think is worthy of a top 5 pick. So, and they just gave Mike Glennon some big money to be their quarterback for a few years. So
hey, we actually got people watching this. Sorry, go ahead.
It's all good. With the 3rd pick, I'm going to go Jamal Adams, safety.
I like it. Let me just see. I've got Adams really high on my board. He's my number 2 player. So
yeah, Adams is high up on my board too.
And secondary team has been an issue for quite some time for Chicago. So they need some playmakers in there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would not be opposed if they went like really heavy on secondary players because their secondary already is pretty trash. They don't really have any corners. Kyle Fuller sucks, Mukamara sucks, and they have really no safeties. So,
yeah, Adams brings a lot to the table for sure. It's interesting though because even though I said there's no quarterback where they're going 1 or top 5, even in my kind of original mock, just rough 32 picks, I had Trubisky going number 3. I think they could reach and take a quarterback just even though they gave Mike Glennon some money. Like every quarterback's getting a little bit of money in the NFL, and I think that they want someone who, can kind of come in and maybe sit for like half a season to a season under Glennon or someone just to fill the void for now while he kind of gets that additional experience needed. You know what I mean? So even someone like Watson or Kaiser or someone like that who need a little bit more time to develop, I think, I wouldn't be shocked if he kind of went in that top 3 area to even San Francisco or, Chicago there.
Yeah, and the way that Glennon's contract is structured, it's pretty much just a whole bunch of money in year 1, and then they can go off the books right afterwards if they want to.
I'm not even really that objective to the Mike Glennon signing as a whole. Like, he really didn't get much of a chance in Tampa Bay to show what he's made of. Like, he got 1 year, and then they switched to Jameis, and he didn't even really get a full year. I mean, it's definitely worth a shot. Give him a year or two, and if it is a Watson or whatever, like, let's face it, none of these quarterbacks should really be starting right away. So,
and that's exactly it. I think. I mean, I'm not shitting on Glennon at all. I think he was a proficient player, but is he your franchise player that's going to take you to the Super Bowl and the playoffs? Like, I don't know. I definitely think maybe he cracks the playoffs, maybe. But other than that, I don't think so. Like, I don't think he has the stuff to take you all the way. But maybe these other young guns, like I think Watson has the ability to do it. Trubisky maybe has the ability to carry a team, but they just need a little bit more time to show what they got.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we spent enough time talking about Mike Glennon.
Talking about the shit ass Bears. Fuck the Bears.
Yeah, sorry, Kyle. I know you're a Bears fan, but fuck you, Kyle, and fuck your Bears too.
Oh yeah.
Lawson, you're back on number 4 with Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yeah. So again, Jacksonville's one of the teams I feel like kind of like Cleveland, where if we're giving Super Bowls out for drafts and free agency, they're winning the Super Bowl every single year, right?
They knocked it out of the park last year, man.
They're the team we give an A+ to every single offseason for the draft and the free agency, but then the season rolls around and we finish 5-11 or 6-10, and you're just kind of you never really know what's going on. Or in this case, I don't even know, what do they finish 4-12, 3-13?
Because their quarterback sucks.
Yeah, Blake Bortles isn't really helping. I was a fan of the pick before, and I think he's flashed some good.
Not
things.
At 3. Not at 3. I had him as a late 2. Or sorry, not a late 2, a late 1. He was my QB3 that year.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's flashed the tools that is needed, but he's definitely needed to clean up his game a little bit and things like that. And I wouldn't put it solely on Bortles. I think just a team as a whole, they're rather dysfunctional.
Yeah,
I know we've discussed before, even though Gus Bradley is a good DC, I think that they were better fitted as a 3-4 team as opposed to a 4-3.
Are they going to a 3-4 this year?
I don't know if they're making the conversion. I don't know if they're making that switch or not, but I mean, just personnel wise, you know what I mean? I feel like they weren't fully utilizing what they had at their disposal. But speaking of Bortles, we're going to get Bortles some help this year, and we're going to take Leonard Fournette.
Yeah. I've started seeing this a lot more recently, and the more I see it, the more I like it.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more of a consensus pick and kind of more, yeah, I could definitely see it there and taking a running back that high, obviously after what Zeke did last year. But I think if you get someone in there like Fournette, you get someone in there like Fournette who doesn't need the greatest offensive line to make something happen, that to just kind of pound out those tough yards, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Bortles and just kind of control the game a little bit better, which is what they need.
Definitely. And Fournette's my number 5 player in this class. So I think you're definitely hitting value. I've seen a lot of people start talking about, well, maybe he's the 3rd or 4th best because of what he does in the passing game. Like, he's not very good. But I heard it explained the best way possible. I can't remember who I heard it. I think it might have been Daniel Jeremiah. If you give that Jacksonville offense and with Leonard Fournette, that defense is going to have to bring an extra safety down, which then opens up the pass game. He doesn't need to catch to affect the pass game.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Jeremy, you got any thoughts?
I mean, I like it. Yeah, the Jaguars really haven't had a playmaker at running back since MJD, and
yeah,
they're pretty set weapons wise at receiver, and
they don't have a lot of weaknesses. They just need to get consistent.
Exactly. They just need to stop shooting themselves in the foot and just tighten the ship up. And I think they're going to be a good football team. Like, again, they've flashed good moments before. They just got to get it going,
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of their issues stem from quarterback play.
No, definitely. All right, so I am back on the clock now with the 5th pick, originally owned by the LA Rams, who gave up everything to go get my favorite quarterback from last year. Fucking everything.
Was it worth it, though?
I mean, he did have the worst offensive line and one of the weakest position, receiver groups in history. So, I mean, I don't really think you can blame it entirely. And he had Jeff Fisher as his head coach. Like,
this is fair.
I mean, I don't think it matters if you put in Brady, Jared Goff, or Lawson you from 10th grade when you were playing quarterback because you didn't want to run.
Hell yeah, bro.
Those were the good old days. Lawson being like 5'8", 200 pounds playing quarterback because, man, fuck running.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. And, man, is there a team that really is in a better situation that didn't make the playoffs than the Titans? They've got the quarterback set. They've got potentially the future, running back set. They've got a pretty good defense, too. There's not a lot of weaknesses. They're 1 or 2 pieces away, and they've got 2 first-rounders this year, and one's a top 5 pick.
Top 5, yeah. They definitely lucked out, especially last year. They nailed the draft, trading down, getting Jack Conklin. Great player. Some people thought they were reaching way too much, but he turned out to be a great player. This year they put together a lot of good pieces, and with a top 5 pick, you can go best player available and even reach at a position of need almost for them, right? Because they have another one they can fall back on.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was hoping Jamal Adams would make it here, and obviously he didn't. So now I have to really kind of, not really panic, but just kind of look through and think of what makes sense given their needs. And what they need is a game breaker out on the outside. And he's not even my number 1 at the position, but I think they have to make a pick and get someone different than what they've already got. Corey Davis.
You're going Corey Davis.
Motherfucking Davis.
I thought you were going to go Williams.
That's the thing. Williams is my number 1, but I feel like his game is too similar to like Rashard Matthews. So and especially when they I think they lost Kendall Wright in free agency. Free agency was so long ago. I can't remember who went where.
Yeah,
he's in. Pretty sure he's in Chicago now.
There you go. So they don't have a lot of speed. Corey Davis is a lot faster than people give him credit for. He suffers from the fact that because he hurt his ankle and wasn't able to do the combine or his pro day, he's been kind of stuck in that out of sight, out of mind. And I mean, just throwing and people will say he went to a small school. He went to Western Michigan. He never did against his first game. Remember Darquez Denard from Michigan State, the defensive back? He lit him up for 150 yards in his first game.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting. I'm just going to interject on that pick one time. You mentioned speed a little bit, and I definitely think they got to help out Marcus Mariota a little bit, build around him. John Ross, number 5 overall. Just saying. Just wait.
Ooh, no, not a 5. At 18, if they have to pick a wide receiver, then yes.
Just wait. Telling you that speed on the outside, they want to light it up. I'm telling you, they want to burn it.
Oh, they will, but I don't think they should do it at 5. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm just saying, sleeper pick. Surprise pick.
I mean, if we're talking value, I've got Corey Davis is my 9th best player. Williams is my 7th, so it's not really a big stretch for me.
No, for sure.
All right, Jeremy, you get my least favorite team in the NFL, the New York Giants. Or New York Jets, sorry. So fuck the Giants, but fuck the Jets more.
It'd be amazing if the Giants were picking 6th one year.
Oh, I fucking hope so one year, man.
For the 6th pick, there, I think no matter who it is, I think with the 6th pick, the Jets have to go somewhere in the secondary just because it's nothing compared to what it used to be with guys like Cromartie and Revis.
Wait, does someone have a TV on in the background?
And yeah, I hear it.
My roommates are listening to it over there, but there's not much I can do about that.
Yeah, no worries. I wasn't sure. I'm just like, am I hearing shit?
You are good. And so yeah, I think they have to go somewhere secondary. And Guy was pretty high on draft board, slipped a little bit because of an injury, but still got him going 6. The Jets are taking Malik Hooker.
Yo, this
guy. I like Malik Hooker here, especially considering like Calvin Pryor's good, but he's from the last regime, and I think they really just want to kind of burn that whole last regime down. Hooker is my 6th player, so you got it literally right on the fucking nose. So I mean, Lawson, I know you're a big fan of Hooker too. So
I am a huge fan of Hooker. I mean, I think the value that he would bring to the Los Angeles Charger defense would be massive, especially changing that Gus Bradley system. You want to kind of free safety patrol over the top.
Ain't that a bitch? He ain't numbers.
Yeah, and that's the thing, on my little notes here and whatever else, I have Hookers or Adams. You know what I mean? And whoever was available here was the pick that I was going to make, but obviously I got to make some adjustments now. So
now, I don't think that when we get to Thursday, we're going to see 2 safeties go off in the top 6. But
see, I don't think so either. I think come draft day that we're going to end up with one of the elite safeties here. I mean, in terms of who do I want more for my team, Hooker brings more range and kind of versatility in the back. No, not versatility, but range and kind of ball skills and, coverage ability in the back end. Where I think Adams kind of gets overlooked a little bit as a cover guy. I definitely think he could do that, and he has the speed and the range to do so.
Treatment too much.
Yeah, he's more of an all-around safety. Where Hooker obviously struggles with his kind of angle sometimes and his tackling skills. But I think tackling is something that you can teach, but that instinct and that range is something that you can't. So that's kind of why he's been projected so high, even at 2. I've seen him as high as 2, right? So
yeah, I've seen it a couple times.
All right.
7th pick.
Yeah, that's right. You're on the phone with the Chargers.
Newly coined Los Angeles Chargers.
That's going to take me forever to get used to, man.
Honestly, when I was just about to say the San Diego Chargers, but
I was looking at the draft list and I saw LAC at 7. I was like, who the heck is LAC?
The Clippers are in the NFL now.
Yo, man, I fucking read a mock draft where instead of the Clippers. Instead of the Chargers, they put the fucking Rams.
I've seen so many things like that. I saw a picture the other day on Instagram. It was like a Redskins account or whatever saying that they played the Los Angeles Rams week, 13, but we played them that week and it had the Bolt logo. And I was like, everybody's all fucked up. Nobody knows what's going on.
Who's going to get to wear that ugly ass logo?
The which one? The Rams?
No, your new logo.
Everybody.
The one that looks like they ripped it off of UCLA.
Yeah, it's trash. But we ain't gonna talk about that because with the 7th overall pick, we're selecting Derek Barnett.
Ooh,
that's Tennessee. My reasoning here, obviously, we don't have safeties and we can't trade. If on draft day both safeties are gone, I would like to see us trade back a little bit and pick up some more picks and value. But I think in this situation, 7th overall, we're looking at adding someone in a 4-3 defense on the line who can get after the passer, you know what I mean, and rush the passer. Especially in our division, we need to get after the passer. So I'm taking Derek Barnett. I think he's the best pure pass rusher, hand usage, everything like that. Some people question his motor or whatever else, but from what I've seen, I think he's a monster on the edge, and I'm definitely happy to have him here at 7.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at my board now, and then I as I'm looking at it, I'm trying to find him, and I went, well, fuck, it's been probably at least 2 or 3 weeks minimum, maybe even a month since I updated it. And Derek Barnett's been kind of in a weird situation for me. Like 1 month, I think that he's like top 10 pick, and then it's like top 20, top 25.
Yeah, he's definitely all over.
I'm starting to go way back towards that top 10 feeling again. So I've got him at 22 now. But I think that if I had actually gone through maybe like this today instead of playing 2K all day, I probably would have updated it, and he'd be somewhere in around that like top 12.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, he's all over the place. Again, some people question his motor and his athleticism at times and things like that. But I mean, 40 of his 43 career sacks came against SEC schools, and
which is insane.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he steps up when you need him to step up, and he has the numbers to back it up. And some people put Allen here. I've seen Allen a lot of the times, but I mean, I think I would prefer Barnett is my pick.
The Chargers are playing a 4-3 now under Bradley, right?
Yep, we made the switch. Yeah.
So I guess they're going to go with, and that makes a lot of sense because you got Bosa on one end, you've still got Ingram that you can put out at linebacker.
Yeah.
You've got a Tattoo that you can play at linebacker.
Yep.
I mean, that is just a monstrous front seven that they've built up.
Yeah, we definitely have one of the better kind of not unheard of, but underpraised defenses in the NFL. Very young, a lot of potential.
And I didn't even mention Perriman, who he whoops your ass for an entire game.
Brown had a great season. We got Mebane plugging up the middle. Verrett, Hayward. Obviously, we let go of Flowers, but Adai in the back end too, and
Jaleel Adai, man, I love that guy. That guy.
He brings energy all over the field, so I'm excited for what we can do this season.
Yeah. All right, I'm back on the clock right now with the Carolina Panthers, and I'm not really surprised that this Panthers team took a fall back last year. I'd be surprised if anyone really expected them to, win the division and maybe contend for a Super Bowl again. There are a lot of weaknesses on this team. Their secondary is still very suspect, especially without Norman. I mean, Lawson, you and I did this last year right after Norman got sent back in. We spent a good 5 minutes making fun of them. But I mean, they re-signed K'Wan Short, and I like K'Wan Short. I think Lodolele's been okay, but man, like Julius Peppers is in his mid-30s. Charles Johnson is in his mid-30s, and they traded Coney Ely. And if you look at the type of players that Johnson and Peppers are, they're those bigger, like 6'5", 6'6", like 300, close to 280, 290, defensive ends. Well, there's another guy like that that's still on the board here at 8, and he's fallen a little bit due to an injury. Jonathan Allen.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
I'm just saying that'd be a really good value.
Yeah, he's my 4th ranked guy, and I've got him ranked as a defensive tackle. But I think based off, depending on the right scheme, he's either a 3-4 defensive end, or if he's in one of those schemes like Carolina or Cincinnati that likes bigger, heavier defensive ends, he fits in perfectly there. So
yeah, and that's the one thing I was going to say is that at Alabama it was typically more of a 3-4 end and things like that, but they changed their fronts and their system defensively all the time. You know what I mean? They were never in one base defense. They were utilizing him all over the place at D end, inside D tackle, 3 tech. Even seen him at 1 tech on some plays, and he still dominates everybody. So I think the one play with him that stands out the most is against Texas A&M. Completely embarrasses a guard with a swim.
Superman dive
up and over the running back, creams the quarterback for a sack, and that's the only play you have to watch on Jonathan Allen.
Jeremy had that on loop back in September.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, Texas fan.
Man, I know Jeremy's.
It's always fun watching.
Yeah, I know you're gonna want back next year when we got more Texas guys that are gonna be going in round 1.
Yes, sir. Connor Williams,
Malik.
Jefferson. Yeah.
Man, I wish Malik. I always end up accidentally saying Malik McDowell. Malik Jefferson. I wish he was in this class too, man. Oh man, you guys are building up a squad, man. It made me I started off as a Longhorns fan, so when I was first watching college football, I liked Texas and I liked Cal, and then I kind of got away from Texas after Colt McCoy left because I didn't know how to replace him. Now I love Texas again, man. I love me some Longhorns ball. They got one of my favorite players in the class this year.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're thinking of.
All right, Jeremy, you're up next with Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Actually, a couple of different places I think you can go with Cincinnati. Receiver, I think, is definitely a place you can go. They've lost pretty much everybody besides AJ Green.
Oh.
But I remember watching and I've seen Matt Miller tweet out a couple times. I remember when I was watching the Cowboys play the Bengals this year, just how slow their linebacking core is.
Yeah.
And they don't really have a playmaker in the linebacking core. And so I've also seen this guy slip a little bit, but I've actually had him here for a while. And it's another Bama boy. I'm giving Cincinnati, Reuben Foster.
Yo, this guy's taking all my picks, I swear. Holy cow.
You know what? You know what Jeremy likes him so much, Lawson, right? He watches my videos, so he's my fucking Twitter hype man.
Taking all your words.
I have bestowed my wisdom upon young Jeremy.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I really like Foster. I think I've got him as my 10th best player. I think definitely come Thursday he'll still be there based off of well, I don't think that the being sent home from the combine for like threatening a hospital worker will
looked into that and they were, we understand the situation and things.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what's lost in translation a lot of times is that hospital worker probably got shit so much too. Like he got so much shit, but he's not in the limelight. But I think maybe the diluted sample could drop him a bit, but like,
which is ridiculous. We talked about this the other day, man. Like a diluted sample.
It's not a fail. It's a diluted sample. He didn't test positive for anything.
Drank a lot of fluids before, but now like with the Jabril Peppers, when everyone's coming out, all the GMs are saying, "What do you think we're stupid? Like, oh, he's drinking a lot of water, too diluted sample, so he didn't test positive." Well, this guy's like a world-class athlete. Can we just maybe acknowledge that he's just drinking a lot of water to stay hydrated? Like, are we stupid? Like, come on now.
Yeah, you know what? It's draft season, man. Remember skinny knees. Remember skinny knees. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
So who's? Oh yeah, it's me.
I'm on the clock.
You're next. Fuck, I totally forgot Buffalo was a thing. That seems to be a thing.
I wanted to go Reuben Foster here and kind of pair up Foster and Ragland again and give Buffalo that thumping linebacker core, which I think they need, because I think they have a good D-line and they have a good front seven as it is. But, Zach Brown leaving and to Washington, I think he went to. But you put Foster in there, I think their defense becomes way, way better. But now Foster isn't there, so we got to look at some other options. I think if we're looking position-wise and what they need, I've seen quarterback here before. I'm a big fan of what they have there, and I don't think they need to kind of go elsewhere with this pick here. I don't think, Trubisky or anybody like that is going to fix this situation. If I were to go quarterback. I know where you're going.
I think I know where you're going. I'm going to let you finish.
Go quarterback, I'd go Watson here just because I think his versatility, running and passing is unmatched. But I think we need to get some sort of help on that offense. And since they have a pretty solid receiving core already, I think we add to it a little bit with a hybrid player, and I'm going to take O.J. Howard here.
Oh, that wasn't where I thought you were going with that.
Howard's a versatile player, you know what I mean? He can, stretch the field, split the safeties, be a threat all over the field, but also in the run game. And they had a great running game last year. I think they're going to build upon that again this year. Gillislee left and whatever else, but you still have Shady, and you still have some other backs.
And Shady's young too. He still hasn't turned 30.
No, he still has a lot in the tank. Watching him last year, it was crazy what he could do. And with a loaded running back class this year, I'm sure we'll see them maybe dabble in, fourth, fifth, sixth round pick or something like that. Just add some depth, some special teams, and change of pace guy. But Howard can block, he can catch the ball, he can run, and he's a do-it-all player at that tight end position who can even flex out to wide receiver at times. And I mean, at 10, I think that's incredible value.
See, I thought you were going to go with Mike Williams and just pair him up with Sammy.
See, but that's the thing as well. You made reference to it in Tennessee. I think Sammy Watkins, while he's more dynamic than Williams is, I definitely think they kind of possess some of the same characteristics as a big body, kind of big ball receiver. But I think Howard you add at that tight end position, because who do they have at tight end?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I was hoping you weren't going to go with O.J. Howard because I have the Saints next, and I've been saying they need to replace Jimmy Graham since they traded Jimmy Graham.
That's a good pick. But hey, I gotta steal one pick from you because my man over here is stealing all my picks, so I gotta do something.
See, that's the beauty of having three of us do this now, is because last year when we were just going back and forth, we were kind of setting each other up for less. Now we got to stay on our toes, man.
Absolutely, honestly, absolutely. I gotta dig into my bag of tricks,
man. All right, so New Orleans. You know, I think it goes without saying that New Orleans defense couldn't stop anything last year, like at all.
3 years they haven't done anything.
And you know what? I think the thing is that Sean Payton loves him some offense. Loves him some offense.
Yep.
But he doesn't give two shits about that defense. And, you know, since this is what we would do, being me, I need to fix that defense. There's one problem, though. The guy I would give him there is just gotten disinvited from the combine. And Gary Conley.
Oh, yeah.
And my next rated corner is going to be out 6 months with an injury. So we are in a little bit of a predicament.
Tough situation.
It's a very tough situation. And I'm going to go a little bit, different here. I'm going to give them Deshaun Watson.
Ooh. You say you're giving who?
Deshaun Watson. And I'll tell you why. Drew Brees, he may throw the ball like 700 times this year, and when you're almost 40 and throwing it that many times, his arm might fall off.
They've been saying that for years, but he still throws for 5Ks.
So. Yeah.
I mean, I know, but I mean, as we were saying when it came to San Fran and Chicago, like, these quarterbacks aren't ready to start right away. You've got they've got 2 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Why not get the best quarterback in this class at 11? You can still come back around. Maybe you trade up, at 32, because they've got 3 of the first 42 picks. They can trade up if they get Watson to get another player for them later, maybe to fix up that defense. But there's no secondary help that's really valuable there at 11, because I really don't think that Gary and Conley is going round 1 anymore. And I have a first-round grade on Sidney Jones, but with him being out 4 to 6 months, the NFL doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely make a good point with Watson, and you draft for the future and everything like that. And I think Watson is a great player to take. But that secondary, man, they can't stay on the field. I think it was their starting nickel and one of their outside corners have combined to play 8.5 games over the last 2 seasons combined.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So, like, you got to do something, even if you're going to reach a little bit and take the guy from Colorado, Chidobe Adubi or something like that.
Chidobe Awuzie?
Awuzie, thank you. Yeah, you take someone like him, or you maybe you take a Buda Baker. You take someone in the secondary to really make a difference. Or honestly, I'm going to save it, actually. I'm going to save my secondary sleeper for a little bit later for one of my picks, so I don't give any of you guys ideas.
Sweet. All right, so Cleveland is back on the clock, which means Lawson gets to do the exact opposite of what the Browns are going to do and make solid football decisions.
Well, we'll see. Like I said, I alluded to it earlier. alluded to it earlier, saying that I was going to go a little bit unconventional with this pick here. And since, it is what we would do, I look at who the Browns paid in free agency this year, right? First of all, the amount of money that the Browns had in free agency, how? Like, that shouldn't – I don't know how they ended up with, what was it, $129,000 million.
Because no one wants to fucking sign with the Browns, man.
Hey, they could have paid every free agent on the market if they wanted to. But they were smart with their money. They made good investments, right? And they signed away Kevin Zeitler from the Bengals in division, which is huge. He's the best guard in football. They gave him huge
Shredder on the offensive line as well.
Exactly. So the Browns have had a low-key good offensive line for a long time when they had Mack and Thomas and, even Joel Bitonio was there for a year with all those guys. I'm going to go this year. I'm going to take running back Dalvin Cook, Florida State.
Hey.
I think they're building an offensive line there where, you can give your quarterback some time if needed, which, they're going to need it because they have, Cody Kessler seeming to be the starter. But if you're going to have Cody Kessler back there trying to sling it, you're going to need someone who, one, can catch it out of the backfield and, two, can run the ball. Christian McCaffrey is a great running back as well. But I think, if we're looking to run the ball effectively, have a blocker on third down or a pass catcher on third down, I'm taking Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, and you know what? I think, again, we're kind of hit, speaking on Dalvin Cook, I like the pick. He's my 11th rated player. But this week, the last couple of weeks, the media has just gone nuts with
I've seen him out of the first round entirely recently because of some of these things.
Because of this,
like the 20s.
And the thing is, it's not even something that he himself has done. It's his group of friends.
Yeah.
Now, whether this has anything to do with we know what happened with Aaron Hernandez. I don't think that they're in the same boat. And
no.
I was listening to a podcast earlier this week, and they were, I was not inside the pylon, Locked On NFL Draft with John Ledyard and Trevor Sikkema, and one of them was saying he was talking to an anonymous NFL scout. Oh God, I fucking hate those three words combined together. that they trust Joe Mixon more than they trust Dalvin Cook off the field.
No.
Wow. I'm going to toss that one off to my favorite Texas Longhorns fan as he laughs hysterically into his microphone at that.
No. I mean, just
no.
Has a video of him,
honestly, is just no.
Has a video of him assaulting a woman. Has some friends that may or may not be involved in gang activity. Actually did something, may be connected to someone who may do something.
That's the thing. I mean,
get all the way out of my face
if
with
we're
that
being
shit.
honest here and we're looking at these draft prospects, I'm going to say probably maybe a handful of their friends, maybe questionable people. I mean, some of these Lattimore's from Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland. Shit place. Let's be realistic here, right? I mean, we're looking at everybody else.
Bro.
Come on now. Let's be real here. I mean, a lot of these other places, obviously, obviously South Florida where, Cook's from, you're going to have some bad people and things like that. But, you got to benefit of the doubt. Come on now.
Yeah, I read a tweet today saying that his suspicious activity may go back to middle school. What suspicious shit is an 11-year-old doing?
Pooing in the urinal, bro. That's what they're doing, I'll tell you.
Back on topic.
Yeah, let's get it.
Arizona Cardinals, Jeremy.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries.
Man,
this dude just ethered Cleveland. Not the Browns, the whole goddamn city.
The whole city is trash.
I actually heard that too.
I've driven through Cleveland. I've been to Cleveland. I can attest that it is trash.
It's just there's nothing. It's awful. Whoever says, let's go to Cleveland, yeah. Nobody has ever said that, ever.
Cleveland. At least we're not Detroit.
Oh, well, yeah. You could always get worse. I mean, Michigan's pretty bad, but
See, Jeremy's gonna have to deal with this shit tomorrow if any of his friends see this, because he's the American out of the three of us.
Yeah, but I mean, Jeremy, how many people have you ever heard say good things about Cleveland or just Ohio in general and Michigan?
I've got my best friend's from Cleveland, and he tries to say it's a good town, but it's just not.
I mean, hometown bias, but
yeah. But anyways, the Cardinals.
Fuck, I knocked my headphones out again.
Actually, I was actually gonna slot them a quarterback here going into it. But seeing as this guy has fallen into Arizona's lap, and with Larry Fitzgerald on basically the last legs of his career, and the other name is mistaking me. Leaving me. Oh, Michael Floyd.
Yeah,
he's hasn't been everything as expected. I'm going to give them Mike Williams, receiver out of Clemson.
Hey, yeah, I like this man. He's my number 7 player, so I definitely think that this is a good fit, and especially with John Brown being a speed receiver, they've got Jerron Brown, who's a good possession/speed receiver, and Jamarcus Nelson, who's fast as fuck too. I mean, just get you another possession receiver, man. I like it.
Yep.
Lawson, you got anything? Or are you just gonna?
Oh yeah, well, I think we all kind of hit it on the head. I mean, I think that's a great pick, and definitely pairing him up with Larry Fitzgerald. I think first of all, Larry has a couple years left in the tank, but you pair him up with him, who's just a through and through pro. He's someone who's been in the league for 12 years, 10 years plus at least.
2003, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
It's been a while.
Been productive every single year. He's been in the league and just never an issue. Never hear anything about Larry Fitzgerald negatively. No. You only hear great things about character and as a professional and things like that. So while I don't think those are concerns with Mike Williams, I think you're getting a good character kid there. But I think just pairing him up with Larry, it only means success. So I think it's
definitely. Just taking a quick look at the comments. Rob and Ryan have let us know that the only good thing to come out of Cleveland is LeBron.
Fair. True.
Yeah.
He's from Akron.
I mean, he's Akron, so it doesn't even really count.
Yeah, but we'll count it this time.
Yeah, well, we'll give them LeBron. It's okay. So my Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll be honest, they surprised me last year. I thought we were going to be just massive, just ass. I hated the Wentz pick. I really didn't like most of our draft last year. And
good draft, though. Turned out to be a pretty good draft.
It turned out to be pretty good. I mean, hell, we even got something out of – I mean, I'm not going to try to say his name because I don't know how to pronounce it still. Vaitai. I don't know how the fuck to say that first name, but Vaitai. The TCU guy.
Yes.
The TCU guy.
Yes,
he had to play a bit.
7th, wasn't he? He was a late round pick.
Yeah, he was.
I think when he was a 4th, right?
Was he?
He was a late round guy.
I don't even remember, man. Like he was really late.
Let me check.
I'm shot. I don't even know how to spell it. So he was drafted in the 5th round.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. I didn't even come close on spelling trying to Google that. But looking at what we have now, I mean, I said we needed a running back last year, and we got Wendell Smallwood. I didn't even know what Wendell Smallwood was when we drafted him.
Excuse me. He had a pretty good season, though, didn't he? He was pretty productive.
I mean,
He won the Cowboys game.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, Lawson, from being a Chargers fan, Ryan Matthews is. I'm gonna let you finish that sentence. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably put a lot of words in there.
Yeah. And you also know from being a Chargers fan that Darren Sproles is now in he's 32, 33, something like that.
He's getting up there.
He's getting up there, and he's Sproles is our best running back at the time.
Yeah, he has his plays.
Yeah.
He's got his place, but I mean, if we're being totally serious, there shouldn't be a committee backfield of what we've got right now. It would be entirely Sproles on his own, and Matthews would just kind of be there for some extra, carries to relieve it, and Wendell Smallwood would be on the practice roster. But we've got some weaknesses at corner. We've got some weaknesses maybe at linebacker if we end up trading Michael Kendricks or anything. But we got to get an every down running back, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, good pick. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
See, it's McCaffrey's one of those guys for me. Lawson can attest to this. At the beginning of the season, I said at the very beginning of the season, when everyone was saying like, "Oh, it's going to be like Fournette top 5, and McCaffrey will go top 10, and then Cook will go top 15." I wasn't really sold on McCaffrey, but I think the combine won me over with him, and because he's just so damn smooth. He'd be the third or fourth wide receiver as is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, his combine was impressive. His pro day was also even more impressive for me, at least, because you got to see him actually do receiver drills and run routes, and not just things out of the backfield. And fuck, did he look good? So smooth, so quick, efficient, no wasted steps, which is, as a slot receiver, kind of flexing out, maybe even from the backfield, that motion out. You don't want anybody wasting steps and wasting time, and he's going to be electric and mismatch all over the field.
Oh, definitely. And like you could give him 10 carries a game, and then you can throw him 5 to 7 passes a game.
Yeah, and have him
then
return
if you
3 or 4 kicks,
needed him to, he can return too, and he'd be better than Wendell Smallwood. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. He's my 18th ranked player on the board. Yeah, 18th. He's there at 14. Just looking at what we've pumped through now, like this is a very deep corner class. We've only had 2 go off the board. We have not had a single offensive lineman go off the board, and we've only had 1 quarterback. Like 2 of the most valuable positions in the league, we've only had a combined 1.
Yeah, but it's interesting because this year is kind of a weird draft class where, again, the 2 most valuable positions, offensive tackle, left tackle for being specific, and quarterback, they're just not really there this year, you know what I mean? And there's more really value elsewhere, especially like, DB, ton of value and ton of depth there. Where
pass rusher.
Pass rusher. We could draft in the 3rd round for a guy who's going to start day 1 and make an immediate impact, not just be a rotational player, but a solid contributor.
Even at that, we've only had 2 pass rushers go off the board.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that pass rush is going to see a big, a really big run in around where we are now. And I think it's funny that like Lawson, you were all about Solomon Thomas at 2. He's still there.
Yeah, he is still there, which isn't. And again, I say, I'm all about him at 2, and I didn't even take him at 7 with my pick there, right? I mean, he's definitely a very productive player, but I think depending on what you want, there's better fixes, right? So at 7. I took Barnett because I think he's a better pass rusher than Thomas is. Thomas may be the better all-around defensive end prospect. But I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think we draft more for pass rush in that situation because we place more value upon that, and we kind of feel more comfortable with some of the run-stopping forces that we have, such as Jatavis Brown, Denzel Perriman, like you said, Corey Legit, Brandon Mebane. All those guys, Tenny Palapo, all those guys.
See, here, I get a lot of questions about why don't I like Solomon Thomas the way that the media does. And this isn't surprise, this isn't me trying to just garner myself attention. I do a lot of that on my own. But the reason I don't like Solomon Thomas is that, whether it's any of these Twitter scouts, whether it's NFL Network, whether it's Matt Miller, like Daniel Jeremiah and Matt Miller are like my go-to guys for draft info, and I can't see eye to eye with them on this because they talk about how dominant he was all season. He dominated 1 game, and it was UNC in the bowl game.
Oh yeah,
against a weak offensive line and a quarterback that was in his first year of starting. He did nothing against Cal. He did nothing against Washington. He did nothing against Washington State. Did nothing against UCLA. Did nothing against USC. He did nothing against USC when they were missing their 2 offensive tackles. I don't get it, but
that's the thing. I think for a interior defensive lineman or outside, kind of a bigger outside defensive end, I think he flashes enough times to garner that overall pick and that kind of respect from draft analysts. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, we're not going to see a J.J. Watt on film who dominates every single player and every single offensive line. But, I mean, that's one in a generational kind of guy. But he flashes enough, and he has the physical and athletic skills to develop, not to be a J.J. I mean, you can never say that with a prospect. But he definitely has the tools to be a good player in the league.
On the other hand, though, I'm going to give you that same description for two different body types at the same position. Coney Ely, Markevious Mingo.
I mean, yeah, you definitely have two ends of the spectrum, and Coney Ely's not even like the be-all, end-all player.
No,
like,
and you know what? I thought
a solid player, but he's not what he was.
Yeah, and I thought that Coney Ely was going to be what they think Solomon Thomas is, but I don't want to fall into that trap again, which is why I'm a lot lower on Solomon Thomas.
No, it's fair.
Now, here's where I think that pass rusher run could start. And Jeremy, you've got the Colts at 15. So now that I've spent so much time, I'm going to let you take over.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think if he was able to still be in the first round and somehow fell to this point, I think really a nice pick here. But
sorry, who I think your mic cut out at one point.
I said if he somehow fell to this point, I would Garyon Conley would definitely be the pick here.
Yeah, your mic cut out right as you said the player's name, so I'm like, who?
But yeah, definitely going pass rusher with the Colts. They made a couple of moves. I know they picked up Jabal Sheard.
And he's a good player too. But I don't think that he can be your bookend. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. So going with the guy that I like, he's gotten some knocks for just his motor on the field, but I think can be a good player. I'm taking Malik McDowell, defensive lineman at Michigan State.
Ooh, good one.
That's a little bit off the beaten path. I like McDowell. When he's on, he's really on, but there are a lot of times where he can't get that motor going. But I think if you give him a defensive line coach or a defensive coordinator that really
locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he even said at the combine that the coaches gave up trying to get, the point across to him and just let him do his own thing.
I mean, I think
the talent's there. It's just the work ethic.
Yeah, it's unquestionable that, if he can get his shit together, McDowell has an unlimited ceiling. I think he could do incredible things in terms of, a double-digit sack guy every single year, double-digit tackles for loss and, rushing the passers and everything like that. I think he could be an amazing player. But the biggest question, obviously, is you need someone who can, grab him by the collar and shake him, and just kind of tell him, you could be fucking amazing if you want to. But you're not there. And I don't know why you don't want to be there, but you're wasting a huge gift. You've been given a gift from God that people wish they had, and you're fucking blowing it, which is why I was going to take him with this next pick, because I think you put him in that Baltimore locker room with some vets like, Eric Weddle in the secondary, Terrell Suggs is still there.
Tony Jefferson coming from Arizona.
Yeah, Ozzie Newsome don't take no shit either. I'll tell you, he'll get him straight, and Harbaugh too.
And that defensive coordinator, Dean, is it just Dean Pease?
I think so, yeah.
He don't take no shit either, man.
No, exactly. And I think, they could definitely put him in his place and make sure they get the potential out of him. But obviously a great pick to Indianapolis as well. I think Pags can do a good job of getting what he needs out of him.
Sorry, just looking at the comment section from Ryan. His last name sounds like McDonald's. He should change his name. God damn it, Ryan. Now I'm hungry.
Fucking Ryan.
Fucking Ryan.
McDonald's on Ryan.
As for Rob, is it Vincencio? Vincencio? Good value, but not consistent, no motor when it comes to McDowell.
Well, I mean, that's fair, and I think we addressed that. But if he gets that motor running, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you know what? It's the talent's there. He's just got to get his head out of his ass. And I think going to if Indy's the right team, you never know. Lawson, you've got the Ravens. When are they finally going to turn it around and get back in the playoffs, man? It's been 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, last year I think with where they finished, almost mid-pack. Definitely unfortunate with Joe Flacco going down and some other things. I mean, they drafted Rashad Perriman 2 years ago now, but he's only played.
And Stanley last year, and he was good.
Yeah, and he's definitely, I guess, a little bit behind in his development of what he could be. But I think they're definitely, quietly building a team that will be a dark horse candidate. And I know we say that almost every year about Baltimore in terms of, oh, they're the Super Bowl dark horse. I mean, don't doubt them and don't count them out.
You and I both said that this year.
Yeah, and I think, they're a team that's just, they're right there, but I don't exactly know what to put my finger on as in terms of the one reason why they keep failing. I just think, some bad luck and, a couple unfortunate happenings here and there, and you don't make it. I mean, that's the NFL sometimes. But in terms of this pick, I've seen a lot of picks. I've seen offensive weapons, defensive weapons, or consistent players here and there and whatever else. I mean, there's obviously one player on the board here who I think makes some sense for them, even though they may not need the position so much. I just think it's too big of a value to pass up on. Originally, I had John Ross going here. I think they could add a little bit of speed on the outside and kind of help that offense out a little bit. Same way maybe they use a Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. I think that could be beneficial to Baltimore. I just think everybody across the NFL needs a Tyreek Hill. I'm going to say that right now.
Without the off-field issues.
Of course.
Let's clear that up.
Yeah, what he brings to the field in terms of that type of different player, everybody needs that on their offense. But right now I'm going to go Solomon Thomas for Baltimore.
I mean, we've already talked about Solomon Thomas and what we all think about him.
So. It's way too good of a value to just let him slide and go elsewhere. And do they necessarily need a defensive end? Maybe not. But I mean, you take him here. You'd be stupid not to. So,
and I think really the only other player that I would think that Baltimore would take in this, I was going to say ideal situation, but it really is an ideal situation if they get someone who will probably go top 5 that falls to them at 16. We all know that Ozzie Newsome loves him some Alabama players.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
He's an Alabama grad. I mean, look at all of the guys he's drafted from Bama. And the only other one I would think that could be a possibility and would fit that Alabama quota would be Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But see, my thing was, you're bringing Tony Jefferson in who, is coming to play safety, but he's put some time in at corner and things like that. And I think they have okay, depth at the cornerback position and in the secondary. But obviously a guy like Humphrey who's, press man, cover, physical, get in your face, he'll do it all. I mean,
get beat.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, from here and there. But I mean, you have two great safeties over the top to help you out. But
yeah, definitely.
I think definitely this is a game one in the trenches. So you give up a little bit in the secondary to gain a lot in the trenches. So,
Jeremy, just before you go on to your pick with Washington at 17, just going to go through some of my top guys still available. Carl Lawson, who is my 8th ranked player. You know what, Lawson, I feel bad last year because we had Shaq Lawson fall as well. I don't know what it is whenever you and I are live, guys named Lawson fall. Taco Charlton, who's my 15th ranked player. Sidney Jones, who's my 16th. And Forrest Lamp, who's my 17th.
Yeah, halfway through right now.
Yeah, we're actually making a lot better time than I think we did last year.
Yeah, do you want to give him a quick review of who we've got so far, Mike?
Yeah, so just in case any of y'all are just getting in or missed any of the picks or want to hear it again. So at 1, Cleveland went Myles Garrett. At 2, Marshawn Lattimore to San Francisco. 3, Jamal Adams. 4, Jacksonville gets Leonard Fournette. 5, Tennessee goes Corey Davis. 6, Malik Hooker to the Jets. 7, the Chargers get Barnett. 8, Jonathan Allen to the Panthers. 9, Reuben Foster brings some athleticism to Cincinnati. 10, Buffalo gets O.J. Howard. 11, New Orleans went Deshaun Watson. 12, Dalvin Cook to Cleveland. 13, Mike Williams to Arizona. 14, Christian McCaffrey to Philadelphia. 15, Malik McDowell to Indy. And 16, Solomon Thomas to Baltimore.
Great. Second half was rounded off.
Jeremy, get us started with Washington, bro.
Washington, I think their 2 biggest needs right now is another corner to put next to Norman. I remember last year especially when Dallas played Washington in both the matchups, with Norman being only able to play one side of the field, they put Des Bryant on Rashad Breeland a lot, and Des just annihilated him time after time.
Especially with Philly now adding Alshon and having
New York adding Brandon Marshall.
Like they need to go too deep at corner. They need to have two really good corners.
And now talking about it, I might have talked myself into one.
So that's the thing, man. With two extra voices, it makes you think a lot more.
You know what? Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a corner. Give him. This might be a little bit of a reach, but the corner class is not looking quite as strong as it once was, and I'm gonna give him an explosive player who could, with guys like Odell. I'm gonna give them Adoree Jackson, corner out of USC.
Good pick.
Damn. Good pick. Lawson, you're our native Adoree Jackson stan, so go ahead, bro.
Hey, honestly, I like this pick. Obviously, it's a little unconventional. You don't really see Adoree going this high, but honestly, I think it's a great pick. I'm a big Adoree fan just because of his athleticism and versatility that he brings. I think he can, play good man-to-man coverage. I think his press needs a little bit of work, especially if you're going to match him up with some of the bigger bodies in the division there. But I think, what he adds to the game in terms of a return man, obviously his skills there. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he's a deadly player. So,
yo, Ryan, you got to chill, man. Tampa should trade up to get kicker Zane Gonzalez. Bruh.
Fuck it. Do it. But yeah.
Oh, man.
Adoree's my boy, Mike. You know that. I've been preaching Adoree every time you try to rip him down. I always try to build him back up.
Now, hang on. If you look at Adoree's sophomore tape, he can't cover worth a fuck. If you look at his junior tape, his technique got a lot better, and he actually displayed a lot more technique this year. Was a little bit more of a shutdown corner than I ever could have anticipated. I still think he's got a ways to go, but I think with just how much of a freak athlete he is, if you get him in the right defense with the right defensive coordinator and the right secondary coach, I definitely think that you've got a steal on your hand if you get him in round 2. I don't mind this pick, especially considering, you've got some speedy guys that you're going to have to go up against in the division. You're going to need someone who's going to go stride for stride with them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I think it's a great pick. I was thinking that you're going to go Kevin King or Awuzie because they're a little bit longer, a little bit more physical with them.
I actually
match up with just some bigger bodies.
As soon as he said corner, I thought he was going Gary and Conley.
Fair.
I started getting ready to type.
Yeah, Conley's good because again, he's a physical corner. He's a press man. He'll take you on.
But he's in for a fall that would make Laramie Tunsil
feel fortunate.
Yo, I remember last year we were sitting here talking. We're like, yo, best player in the draft. No way Laramie Tunsil goes past pick 3, and then half an hour before the fucking draft,
you see him with a gas mask on.
Yo,
I died. Honestly,
has anything worse ever happened on draft day? Because think about it,
man, I seen those pictures. I honestly started dying laughing. I couldn't handle myself.
Aaron Rodgers fell 21 picks really in 2016. Back when the draft was held on a fucking Sunday or on a Saturday, and it would be like 5 hours or 6 hours for the first round. So he was sitting in the green room for like 4 hours. Laramie Tunsil gets his phone hacked half an hour before, and everyone loses their fucking mind.
I loved it.
That was awesome.
I think I put him at 3 to the Chargers last year.
You did. I actually rewatched it last week.
Interesting.
If there was a team that would take a chance on a guy like Garyon Conley, I think Washington's one of them. Just with
Washington's one,
picking up guys like Junior Gillette. And
Arizona is another. And then
Cincinnati, it's a good idea.
Cincinnati, Oakland, Seattle, Dallas.
And hey, let's be real about your Dallas Cowboys with the secondary help. We just talked about all the weapons, receiver-wise, in that division.
We gonna get there. We gonna get there.
You gotta need somebody. You need somebody bad.
Hey, I was gonna say that we need to start picking these defensive backs off the board, but it won't matter because there's still gonna be good corner talent there.
Yeah.
18, I'm back with the Tennessee Titans, and we've already seen them go with Corey Davis at 5, a little bit off the beaten path. And again, like they actually just released I almost said Justin McCourty, who's not a real person. Devin McCourty.
Yeah.
Is it Devin though? No.
Jason?
Jason. I get them confused.
Jason.
And part of me is sitting here looking at my board, and I can't help but see David and Njoku there with Delaney Walker getting up there in age, and with that offense and everything, and just how beautiful that would be. But I can't do it. I'm gonna help them out on the defensive end, and I'm gonna go Hassan Reddick.
Oh, fuck.
Now
that's a good pick. That's a great pick.
Yeah, you know what? Has there been anyone that's helped their draft stock more this offseason than Hassan Reddick? And I mean, he was a corner when he walked on. He played edge rusher this year. They told him, listen, bro, you're small. Let's see what you can do at linebacker. And he dominated at the Senior Bowl, playing off-ball linebacker for the first time.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember you and I having a conversation around Senior Bowl, like pre-combine kind of phase, saying who is going to be the one small school product who shoots up the boards, one, because of athleticism, and then two, because of what he's done kind of in the pro day, that kind of display of football. And it turned out to be Hassan Reddick, obviously someone who neither of us predicted it to happen to, but a guy who's deserved it in terms of you look at his numbers from the combine, and this guy's just an athletic freak running, 4.5s, and in the bench press, and his broad and his vert was incredible. Fluid on the field. Oh my gosh, being, outside linebacker myself and watching him doing all these drills and things, I was like, oh, he just makes it look easy, you know what I mean? And even his pass rush shows, and watching his tape pass rush wise, he's so fluid and he bends the corner so well. I mean, a tremendous player. I think he's going to go on to do some big things, especially probably with Tennessee in that Dick LeBeau offense or defense. My apologies.
Yeah, that was my rationale for that. Shout out to Hunter Jensen for saying, if you guys have T.J. Watt getting drafted by the Packers, I'm killing my roommate.
Hey, you better come through with that. Nobody pick Watt. Nobody pick Watt.
Rob, I apologize if I'm fucking up your last name, which is why I'm just not going to say it. He says that Reddick to the Titans is a perfect fit. I believe I've heard from Rob before that he's a Titans fan. So if I get the Titans fan seal of approval for Corey Davis and Hassan Reddick, then I'm happy with that.
For sure.
All right, Lawson, you're back on it with Tampa Bay.
With the Yucks, baby. Tampa Bay Yuccaneers.
Hey, they almost made it. I don't know how they almost made it.
Yeah, they almost made it. They almost made it. But yeah, definitely a couple pieces away. And we talked about this kind of at the top of the draft at 5 with what we did with Tennessee. You have your young guy to build around, right? And, Tennessee has Marcus Mariota. Tampa Bay has Jameis Winston. Obviously, the interceptions are a little bit concerning there, and that's why I think they go, one of two ways in this position here. I think their offensive line needs a little bit of help, but the tackle class leaves something to be desired. I mean, Donovan Smith, I think, is one of their tackles right now from Penn State.
DeMar Dotson's been hurt, and Ali Marpet's been pretty good, but
Ali Marpet's been a good player, but he's definitely no tackle, and you want a tackle.
Ryan wants a kicker, man. Ryan really wants a kicker. I'm assuming he's a Bucs fan that just hates it.
I'm sorry, my man, but we actually want your team to win this year. I mean, if I'm looking at the offensive tackles, obviously I have the cream of the crop to pick from because I don't even think we've had one offensive lineman in general selected right now.
We haven't had a single offensive lineman.
Yeah, and Garrett Bowles is my top offensive tackle. But I think the other way they can go here is getting, Jameis some help. And I know that they have, good receiving core. tight ends
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah,
I think I know.
Austin Safarian-Jenkins, things like that, and Connor Brait.
He's gone, man. They cut him.
Where is Connor Brait there though?
Brait, is it Connor? What the fuck's his first name?
I thought it was Connor.
No.
They have some white guy at tight end.
Cameron Brait.
Yeah, they have a white guy at tight end who gets the job done. But you have David Njoku on the board there, who could be a tremendous player for them.
Is he going to do it?
No, I think you got to take care of Winston. I'm going Garrett Bowles.
All right.
You got to give love to the big dogs. Give love to the Hogs. You got to get one in the first round.
Yeah, man. As a former lineman, looking at this class makes me sad. Ryan says no. I guess because we didn't give them a.
Hey, I'm sure Zane Gonzalez is going to be there in the third, my man.
Oh well, you know what? Since we're on the Bucks, I remember I was watching the Bleacher Report reaction videos to the picks last year, the night of,
and
they did it for like the first three rounds, and they get to the second round pick with Matt Miller, and they've got Matt Miller and the king of terrible football takes, Chris Sims, and they asked him to grade it, and Matt Miller gave it an F and said this might be the worst draft pick of all time because they traded up in the second round to get a kicker.
A place kicker.
Who was going to take him? And then not even that. Chris Sims gave it a K for kicker because, as he said, they don't pay me enough to watch film on kickers.
Oh, it's true, honestly.
It's true, man. Like, I don't watch kickers. Fuck that shit.
Place kickers, I feel like are dime a dozen. But when you have a superb place kicker, obviously it means a lot. Like you get, what a Vinatieri or Vanderjagt used to be and things like that, where they'd hit it from 50, 90% of the time and everything up and to the 5-yard line. Especially now when you move the point after attempts back. And I think that was a rationale with it, is that we never want to miss a point after attempt.
Yeah.
Bucks.
He just wasn't good. The only other positions I would think of for Tampa Bay other than offensive tackle, because I do think that's kind of been an under the radar need that no one's really talked about, is somewhere in the secondary, whether it's safety or corner. I've heard Awuzie's name mentioned here. I've heard Melifon, Jabril Peppers, Buda Baker. I think offensive line is is when you've got Jameis back there, you need to protect him. So I have no issue with that pick, man.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Just real quick before you.
Yeah, we got time. Like we have 8 hours in order. They'll cut us off at 8 hours. I don't think we're going 8 hours.
No, hell no.
I actually I missed who you picked at 18. So.
Oh, Hassan Reddick. You there?
Yeah.
All right. See, you're lucky. Yeah, you're lucky. You can get up and go get some water, man. I'm thirsty as shit and can't do anything.
Always pack diluted samples, baby.
Diluted
samples.
I am literally 50 feet away from the fridge and can't go get a beer right now, man. So I might quickly dip while one of you guys is picking at like 21 or 22 and get myself a beer.
Yeah, do it up, buddy.
All right, so anyways, I'm on the board at 20 in Denver, and another team with a really weak offensive line, and it's really their only need. So we're finally going to see an offensive line taken off the board to protect either Lynch or Simeon or whoever. I don't think it matters who's back there.
Uncle Rico is going to get in there, I'm telling you.
Uncle Rico. But not like Lawson, you said at 19 you had the pick of the litter at offensive tackle, and now Garrett Bowles is not really as high on my board. I'm just checking my offensive tackle rankings now. He is my 4th tackle, but I do understand that he'll probably go ahead of where I rank. His age factors into where.
Yeah, but even at his age, offensive linemen play well into the 30s, mid-30s, things like that, and I think he's the most athletic of the group, which is a big thing. So that's why I took him.
If we're talking offensive tackles, he's the most athletic.
Yeah.
Where I'm going, we're going most athletic offensive lineman. Forrest Lamp, baby. I love Lamp.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was going to ask is if you're going to target offensive tackle or interior offensive lineman at Denver, because they need all 5 positions
They really
realistically, you know what I mean? So I think any offensive lineman you have here is a big upgrade, and Lamp, no doubt, great player.
Now, my thing is, one of the things when we're talking about Forrest Lamp is we give him that Zach Martin diagnosis, and you can attest to this, Jeremy, that good college left tackle that's got short arms. Like, I can't relate to having short arms and playing offensive line, but like as far as I don't care about a player's arm length necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there's been a case or two of a short-armed offensive lineman having some success in the NFL. I just can't think of it offhand because I don't give two shits about a player's hand size, arm length. None of that stuff matters to me. I don't care about a quarterback's throw velocity. I care about the tape and can the guy ball. I don't care about these really insignificant measurements.
Yeah.
But as for Forrest Lamp, watch the tape against Alabama this year.
That's what I was going to say.
He went up against, in the same game, Jonathan Allen, Tim Williams, and Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, Dalvin Tomlinson.
And he kept that quarterback relatively safe back there. He did a lot better.
All of them.
I mean, he did better than guys like Zach Banner, Chad Wheeler, the guys from Texas A&M, Illuminor, and not a Fetty, Genesee. Like, he did better than Power 5 guys did against fucking Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially facing an NFL roster.
Yeah, I mean, that front 7, every one of them is going to eventually play in the NFL. And even when he got to the second level trying to, track down and chase linebackers, he did a great job of that too. And as soon as he clamped his tiny-ass little dinosaur arms onto one of them, it was game over. I mean, even Jonathan Allen, one of the fastest, strongest interior offensive linemen we have, or defensive lineman, sorry, clamped his hands on him. There's no getting away.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and make a very bold prediction for Thursday. That Forrest Lamp's draft value starts at 6.
I think so as well. I mean, I've seen a couple things and read a couple things with him linked at 7 overall, and that's a situation where if we were to trade down maybe to even 12, I heard the Browns were looking to move up. The Eagles, I've heard, have tried to move up to our position. If we trade back to that mid-10 range, we take Lamp. I'm a happy camper. I'm good with that.
Yeah. All right. No, Lawson, you're up next. You've got Detroit. While you're talking, I'm getting a beer.
Let's do it, buddy. So yeah, I was originally going to go Hassan Reddick here. I think kind of a replacement for DeAndre Levy seems to be a good idea within that defense to kind of add some speed at linebacker and a little bit of versatility. But obviously now that he's gone, I'm looking elsewhere and things that I can do and things that I can pick up. And that's why before I had mentioned that I had one sort of defensive back in mind who adds some value all over the field and I think could fit Detroit in a way that could benefit them in the future. And no, I'm not talking Jabril Peppers. I'm talking Eddie Jackson, Alabama.
Whoa! Damn!
Coming off of an injury that, has sidelined him for some time, but it's nothing like super severe in terms of going forward. It's nothing that's going to, kind of restrict his athletic abilities. He broke his leg, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and he broke it mid-season, which kind of fucked him over when it came to the
draft process.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at my rankings, and of course, injury for him factored into it because unlike someone like Sidney Jones, I didn't get the full season. So it bumped him down a bit, but I'm looking at my rankings now. He's my 7th rated safety, factoring the injury. If you take the injury out of it, he's probably only behind Adams, Hooker, and maybe Budda Baker.
Yeah, I mean, I think during the tape that when you do watch him, great instincts in the cover game, not afraid to tackle and get physical and get up there and in your face. I think you add him to Detroit. It's just secondary alone. He adds a good value and a good presence who can come in and make a difference immediately. But the thing that I'm really looking at him for is that difference he makes in the return game for Detroit. I think special teams wise, they've struggled a little bit to kind of make that difference and have some guy to flip the field for them and help that offense out to kind of put drives together. And it's a good offense, don't get me wrong. I believe in Matt Stafford, but I think obviously all the help that you can get in your return game to flip the field is a great job. So that's why I'm giving them someone like Jackson who can add value in 2 spots as opposed to just 1 on the defense.
Ryan says he didn't expect that, and Rob says Detroit's going Budda Baker.
So yeah, Budda Baker's a good player too, and it's nothing against Budda Baker. He's probably one of the best, nickel cover guys in the class, and he's a great safety and cover guy all around. I think his tenacity and his physicality. I love Budda Baker.
And right now the chat's kind of going a little bit nuts. What the fuck, Jackson? No way, no way. As for your question, Matt Gluck, I'll answer that in another video. Actually, wait, no. After you're done watching this, there's a playlist called Scout Talk or Scout School that I have on my channel. That talks about how I have my ranking system and how I set all that up. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to go into it here. Rob says 3rd round written all over him. If no injury, top 2nd.
See, that's the thing. I mean, this is what I would do if I was.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like we all have. Like that's what I love about this is the more media, the more places that you. Excuse me, I've not got the beer burps. The more places that you get your info from, the more perspectives you're able to get. Like there are prospects that if it weren't for certain podcasts I listen to, I wouldn't have even heard of or even thought of scouting. And they're now guys that I love. Like, and it's good when you follow people that have different perspectives on different players, people that have players like, let's say, Jabril Peppers as a top 10 pick, no matter how wrong they are, or people that have Jabril Peppers as a day 2 or even day 3 pick. And the more opinions we have, the better discussion that there is. So for Detroit, what I thought you were going to do, one that I've heard a lot of, and I can actually start to get on board a lot more with the more I hear it, is David Njoku at 21. Because GM from the Patriots is now, the GM for the Lions used to work with the Patriots, and we all know that they did well when they had 2 tight ends.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely see the value within that. To me, my kind of biggest draft philosophy is get you a guy who can make an impact, all over the field, especially when we get later in this first round. I think when you start, getting towards, maybe 20s, obviously towards, late first, early second, you look for those players who, maybe you're reaching a little bit, but they can add it, and make a difference and have a presence in multiple facets of the game, not just in one blaring need or anything like that. I think you're away. You didn't hear me talk about it, but I had them taking Hassan Reddick originally. Now that he's off the board, kind of looked elsewhere and supplemented it. Yeah, I said, cited him as a replacement for DeAndre Levy and kind of giving them another athletic freak as an outside backer. But I don't know. I think you give him Jackson, and we're all happy.
Yeah, man. Jeremy, you're up with my second least favorite team, and that's the Miami Dolphins. You got both of my least favorite teams.
I don't think that was by coincidence.
No. You know what the thing is? It literally was just how I was going to be able to get us to get our 3 favorite teams, and you just happened to get 2 division rivals and my 2 least favorite teams. Like I don't know.
It's all good. Miami, I think, is a team. Actually, really like what they're starting to build. The quarterback that I don't think gets enough credit. J.J. came on the scene last year.
Mm-hmm.
Jarvis Landry, who thinks they're going to sweep the Patriots this year.
Yeah, one of the most overrated receivers in the league.
But
pretty decent offense. I actually originally had Forrest Lamp going here.
Mm-hmm.
We keep stealing our picks, man. We keep stealing each other's picks, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. With Tunzel moving over to tackle. But since he's off the board, I'm going to look towards the defensive side of the ball. And core, Nico Alonso starting to get up there in age and has had injury history.
I think that's his bigger concern, is the injury history. I don't think he's all that old. I think he's about 26.
I thought he was like 30.
Nah, man.
Yeah, he's still pretty young. But again, injuries at this young of a career definitely had some age on him.
I mean, Kiko Alonso is 26.
Oh, wow. I don't know why I thought he was 30.
But he plays like a 30-year-old.
The injuries, I'm telling you, adds age on the body.
You and I both know that.
So, yeah. Multiple injuries, and they just picked up Lawrence Timmons, who is not going to be there for very long. The back end of his career. So they need a linebacker who can kind of be a field general and make plays. So I am giving them Gerard Davis.
Hey.
Ooh, good pick. Good pick. Staying in state.
Another one of those guys where I mean, I love the tape. My biggest issue on him is kind of the same issue I found with Jerron Reed. I have no idea whether it's Gerard or whether it's Jared. I've heard it both ways. That's literally the only problem I can find with Jared Davis.
Yeah,
I didn't like his tape last year. I didn't like Davis's tape last year, but the more I saw of him this year, I mean, Lawson, you and I have been talking about the draft really since August.
Mm.
And when it comes to Davis, he started off the season as like my number 4 and number 5 linebacker. And, my linebacker rankings were fucked all year.
Mm.
Like, guys climbing, rising, and then Hassan Reddick came out of nowhere. And it's like, well, shit, where do I put McMillan and Davis and Walker and all these other guys that I really, really like? But, I mean, if Jared Davis can just stay healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the
he
thing.
was banged up a lot this year, and I think he's going to be able to. The problem is he won't have to carry an entire front 7 really on his back like he did at Florida, because he had an inconsistent front 4 with guys like Caleb Brantley, and then his other linebacker in the linebacker core was Alex Anzalone, who played 11 games in 4 years because he never was on the field because he was always hurt.
But when he was a good player.
Yeah, but I mean, Mike Mayock can have him as his number 4 linebacker all he wants. The dude's a day 3 talent.
No, absolutely, and I think that's strictly because of injuries and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to extrapolate.
Davis is definitely more athletic than I gave him credit for. I thought he was more of a 2-down linebacker when I was kind of watching.
That was my thing when I started last year.
But obviously his combine numbers show that, he has the athleticism to do it. When I see him move, though, I don't think he has the movement skills necessarily needed to be a 3-down linebacker yet. I think he can kind of get there with the right coaches and the right system. I think that's a good pick. I had them taking Tack McKinley here, pass rusher.
Which reminds me, we've still only had 3 pass rushes taken.
I mean, we still have a lot of pass rushers and to choose from here for value, but I had them going there because even though Cameron Wake's still putting it together and they have Olivier Vernon, Cameron Wake's getting old for a pass rusher, and there's some age showing on that defense, and especially with Cam and things like that. So I think you get a young guy in the mix there to kind of change a pace and learn from some solid pros. You could get a good value there in the future.
Yeah. All right. I am up next with the New York Giants. And, Lawson, you and I sat here last year and we made fun of the Giants for spending all that money on guys that we didn't think were worth it. And they all actually balled out, man. Like Janoris Jenkins, I don't think anyone saw that coming. He played really well. And, the Giants have neglected their linebacking core for so long, but with Jared Davis now off the board and Hassan Reddick now long gone, it's not really a place for them. And of course, with Olivier Vernon playing well, there's no real need at defensive end. So, when was the last time the Giants had a good tight end? Jeremy Shockey?
Yeah.
Jeremy, were you you were what, 6th grade when Jeremy Shockey was?
No, they had that one guy who scored 3 touchdowns in one game, and they thought he was the truth.
Oh, Larry
Donnell?
Larry Donnell.
That guy.
Yeah. But then where's he at?
Yeah, man. Let's put this in perspective. The last time the Giants had a good tight end was Jeremy Shockey, which was 2007. Lawson, you and I were in 7th grade. Jeremy, you were 9?
2007.
9?
I was
8. Yeah.
Damn.
8.
Lawson's 22. I'm 21. Jeremy's in first year university. That's been way too fucking long. So I'm going to fix that issue, and I'm going to give them David Njoku.
I think that's a great pick. Yeah, this is where I had him in my mock draft.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think come Thursday he's still going to be there because I think that Howard goes in around where we picked him in around that 10 and 11 spot, and I think that New Orleans could go tight end as well, if not Arizona could. That I don't think he makes it to 23 come Thursday, but he's there now, and it's time for him to get picked.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, I mean, the only other real option I could see is offensive tackle.
Yeah, and that was another position I considered with Cam Robinson because Eric Flowers is so bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
What made them think he was worth a top 10 pick?
A bad tackle class. You want to reach. You have necessity in your.
Was it really that bad of a class, though?
I think it was an unpredictable class. I mean, some players had huge upside, but did they necessarily get there? I think Flowers was one of those guys, or people who had a low ceiling but a high floor, and you take those guys a little bit later in the round and things like that. But I mean, I guess you gamble on a guy a little bit, and you hope that he works out. And in this case, he didn't.
Yeah,
well, not yet, at least. So
I couldn't remember what draft he was. He was 2015, and I mean, Scherf was in that class, but he was gone. Donovan Smith. Okay, so it was a weak class, but still,
yep.
I don't remember giving him a very high grade. I think I gave him kind of a second round grade that year.
That's 2 years in a row that the Giants have kind of done something where you're like, oh, okay, because even Eli Apple last year was kind of like,
bro, I laughed hysterically when Eli Apple went ahead of Hargraves.
Hargraves is on the board still, but Eli Apple turned out to have the better season.
I mean, he did, but I think that's because, again, Hargraves had no one else around him, which is probably why in real life this year Tampa Bay might go defensive back again.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Giants defense definitely put together a good showing this year.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your DB? Is it Steve Spagnuolo?
Yeah, it's Spagnuolo again.
Yeah.
He's always in the Giants with the Giants in some capacity.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, Lawson, you're back on the clock with the Oakland Raiders. Soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
It doesn't.
Raiders.
It doesn't. And the thing is that they pissed off their fans by relocating from Oakland to Las Vegas, and they have to stay in Oakland for 2 more years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just great.
That is pretty shitty. Anyways, let's get it going here. I want to say that this offseason, some of the talk that I've been most excited for, even though, they'd be going against my Chargers, was the Marshawn Lynch talks. Well, it's still kind of up in the air. It seems a little bit more or less kind of fortuitous than it used to be. Definitely thought it was going to happen. I would love for that to happen for the city of Oakland and Marshawn because I've always been a fan of his. But they definitely need some help at running back. I mean, I look at other places on the roster, offensive line, they're more than okay. Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, they got a difference maker. They went secondary last year and had a good showing there. I think they could go, DB corner here, maybe nickel with maybe a Budda Baker to cover in there, or Kevin King big and long on the outside, cover those tight ends and big receivers. I'm going to go a little bit different here. It's obviously that they need a little bit of help at running back, and they made that apparent by looking to go after Lynch. But I'm going to go a little bit of a different guy here. I was thinking maybe Kamara you put in there. But if I'm going for that kind of, change of pace, difference maker, I'm going Curtis Samuel, Ohio State Buckeyes. They've always put a premium on speed up in Oakland. And I think there's no exception here. The quietest 4.31 of all time because he ran after a 4.22.
He literally ran right after him, too.
And the funny thing was I remember watching it and seeing Ross run, and I was like, okay, that was pretty fast, and seeing the 4.22, and I was like, it didn't look like a 4.22. But I saw Samuel run.
He ran a 4.26, man. He ran a 4.26. Yeah. I mean, he's still faster than I could ever fucking dream of being. But.
Oh, of course. I saw Samuel run right after, and seeing him run. He looked like a 4.22. Clocked in at a 4.31, but his mechanics were perfect, and I think he's a difference maker and a kind of change of pace back that you put in there as just a premium offensive weapon that kind of takes Oakland to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rob says Raiders need CB help, maybe Kamara, depending on how you look at them. I think they're on a little bit of a delay from where we are, so I think you were literally just about to say Kamara.
Yeah, and I mentioned both those. I think corner is definitely a valuable pick and viable for sure as well. But I don't know. I'm going Samuel. Change it up a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, with Oakland, they're close, man. I mean, they would have beaten Houston had Derek Carr, the good Carr brother
in the regular season in Mexico.
Yeah, man. I mean, it all came down to the fact that Connor Cook had to start in a playoff game, and he wasn't ready.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, if you can't put up points in the playoffs, you're not going to win.
No.
Jeremy, you ended up getting both Texas teams, man. I mean, this was a happy accident that the Texan gets both Texas picks. For those of you who don't know, he's from Georgia, but he's originally from Dallas. So,
yep. Looking at another team that's close, I think it's the Houston Texans. I mean, they just have a phenomenal defense, one of the best in the league.
And now that shit quarterback's gone.
Yeah.
Which makes Lawson
could actually look out. They could actually look at corner, losing AJ Boye in the free agency. But with how close this team is, I think they're in a win now mode, and I don't think you're going anywhere with Tom Savage. So with seems to be everyone's favorite quarterback in this class, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I thought he was I started typing in MIT as if he was going to go Mitch.
Me too.
Nope.
All right. I like it. Mahomes is absolutely, I mean, the closest thing we've seen to Brett Favre since Brett Favre. And not say that he's going to be one of the greatest of all time, but as far as you either are shitting your pants in excitement or crying into a bowl of Cheerios every time he throws the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time he threw the ball, I almost had to duck for cover because I was scared of what was going to happen. And that's me watching him as a scout, let alone just watching it live on TV because, hey, it's Texas Tech, and I want to see a team put up 114 points.
Yeah, pretty much.
Their football team outscored their basketball team this year.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they definitely need to get get in the right direction as far as the quarterback situation. Lawson, you and I were sitting here last year talking about, well, now they've got Osweiler. Yeah.
I think they bailed on the Osweiler experiment a little too soon.
I mean, I think so too. I mean, it was his first year. Bill O'Brien's system is really tough.
First year, okay. First year in a Bill O'Brien system, cut him a break. I mean, he didn't play terribly. He definitely showed his moments that he could have the potential to do it. But he also had young pieces around him. Let's be honest, his receiving core consisted of 2 rookies and obviously a good player in Hopkins, but two rookies where not just putting
and one who can't catch.
Yeah, and just the quarterback being in a tough position to learn the system, but those receivers too, and that system that's complicated with all your option routes and changes that you're gonna have to make and reading the defense and coming from college, depending on your system, it's hard, especially Will Fuller. What did you run? 9 route? Just go, Will.
Yep.
That was come on.
Rob says Texans going what? I don't think so because they don't really need a linebacker or an edge rusher.
7 stack.
Or Cam Robinson. I could see that. Dwayne Brown is getting up there in age, and Derek Newton pulled a Kevin Nash and blew both quads.
Impressive. Yeah, that's very impressive.
And he also says, as Rob says, as a Titans fan, can't wait to face him if they pick him. I'm assuming that means Mahomes. I mean, anything's really possible. He could easily throw 5 picks in a game against the Titans, or he could shred them for 900 yards.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm back on the clock right now with the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, this is a no-brainer. As much as I want to give them some help, as far as edge rusher, because Michael Bennett's getting older, and They definitely have some issues when it comes to maybe Frank Clark being consistent. Cliff Avrill's getting older. Edge rusher makes a lot of sense here, but I just can't do it because, I mean, I care about Russell Wilson, but it's clear that John Schneider and Pete Carroll don't, because their left tackle started his first game this year since 8th grade.
Yes.
I thought that was a typo when I saw that this year.
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately, I don't even know how the fuck you find someone in the NFL who hasn't started since they were 11, but
rotational player, my man.
Basketball player. Even worse. Just get a guy who hasn't played the sport in 5 years and have him play left tackle. It's got to happen. Cam Robinson. I don't know why I said Cameron. He hasn't got by Cameron in ages. Why Cam Robinson? Robinson's my number one tackle. Lawson, I know that you and I went back and forth on this throughout the whole year about Cam Robinson. Is it number one? Is it number two? I think I had him as low as 4 at one point. Mm-hmm. And then when the combine came, it made me think that maybe he was playing a little bit hurt this year, because that explosiveness we saw in his sophomore tape and his freshman tape just wasn't there this year. But it seemed to be back at the combine. He was moving more fluidly. Mm-hmm. I think if he puts it all together, and I mean, hey, he's ready to play. He's ready to be a left tackle. Yeah. And he's got Tom Cable as his offensive line coach, who, I mean, he could do something with an offensive tackle who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they gotta protect Russ. So I mean, Seattle should spend their first 4 or 5 picks on offensive linemen.
Yeah, just hope to hit on 1 or 2 of them.
Oh my god,
I mean, it's a great point. I think Robinson's going to be a good pro, consistent pro. My only concern with him was that he was more of a mauler than a finesse guy. So maybe, when it came to those power rushers on the edge, he'd hold just fine. And in terms of the run game, I think he holds his own. But if someone can really bend the corner and dip low,
Derek Barnett.
Yeah, I think he'd kind of struggle, which we saw in the Alabama-Tennessee game. Yeah,
he needed a map to find Derek Barnett, but he did pretty well against Garrett. He did well against some other really good rushers.
That is true. Garrett, he held his own, but again, like
Garrett was hurt.
But at the top of the draft, where 40 or 43 sacks came against SEC for Barnett, I think for Miles, I forget the numbers exactly, but I think it was roughly like 35%, 37% of his sacks came against SEC talent, which is interesting because he plays primarily in the SEC. So I want to know what the fuck happened. Like that'd be good to know.
Yeah. But we are almost out of here. We got a couple more picks left, guys. We appreciate you sticking with us. We're nearing on 2 hours.
Oh shit.
Yep.
I mean, we knew this was coming. I feel bad for Lawson because it's almost 1 a.m. his time.
Almost 1 a.m. Yeah, that's right.
Your roommates are gonna be so pissed.
Hey, they never sleep. They're still up watching basketball and shit.
We got a score update.
Houston beat OKC to advance to the second round of the playoffs. So Houston.
Fuck, my Grizzlies lost.
And the Jazz are up 4.5.
Yeah. All right, I had the Jazz taking that in 7. So.
Also, Brody put up 47.
Oh,
47, 11, 9. So he almost put up another triple dub.
Man, they need to get him some help. That's a topic for another video.
He was going off in the third, just banging threes, and then in the fourth, he couldn't hit anything. He just kept pulling threes.
All right.
So, he's the only thing. Anyways, Kansas City on the clock.
That's you, Lawson. You're up next. Almost to Jeremy.
I don't know. I'm going to keep this one pretty short and sweet. I think with one of their defensive cornerstones getting up there in age, they have to try to replace him a little bit and get him some more help. I think Zach Cunningham's still on the board here, and he offers a lot of value there to that Kansas City defense. This one's easy for me. I'm going Zach Cunningham.
Ooh. I like Zach Cunningham. I liked him a lot at the beginning of the year. Cunningham, I found more of his tape in around late August, and I think the Georgia game really sold me on him. But I think at times he has a little bit of consistency issues, and I think in Kansas City they've got a really good defensive coordinator, Bob Sutton, that can help them fix up those consistency issues and his tackling miscues at times. I mean, he went up for like 19 tackles against Georgia, or 21 tackles or whatever, and then the next week he got like 4.
Yeah, sometimes he tends to become an arm tackler just because he is so long and he kind of doesn't get his hips behind him and square his pads up, and he just kind of tends to lunge at runners. We saw that in the Tennessee game, a couple of runs trying to get Alvin Kamara. He used his length as opposed to his body. I think in this draft class, he's one of the truest middle linebacker Mike prospects that we have. You put him in that Kansas City defense and you just let him run between the numbers and between the hash and just collect 100 plus tackles a year, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, man, for sure. I've got no real objections to that. Personally, I think they might either trade back in real life if they're going to take Cunningham, or maybe trade up in the second round because I think they've got picks to trade too. Yeah. But you know what? Fuck it. This is what we would do.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we've seen before. I mean, hell, we've seen Adoree Jackson go off the board at 16, or at 17. So, I mean, we know this is not what is going to happen. All right, that's going to be tomorrow's video. That's me talking about what is actually gonna happen. This is shits and gigs, late night. None of us are drunk yet, but
Marms is getting there.
I'm at one beer, and you shut
getting there. Getting there.
By the way, Molson, if you want to sponsor the channel, anyways, well, we have the Texas homeboy here, and we've got the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I mean, so obviously Lawson's got it. No, just kidding. Go ahead, Jeremy. You've got the Cowboys.
When looking at the Cowboys, I mean, it screams off the page. Their two biggest needs are more specifically corner and pass rush.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the thing is that we've still not had a lot of pass rushes go off the board. Our last pass rusher was Solomon Thomas at 16.
Yeah. And you really can't go wrong with either because it's a deep class for both pass rushers and corners. But I think because you can get a good corner in the second round, we go pass rusher here. And I know you mentioned him a couple of times earlier, going to Taurus McKinley.
Hey.
Good one.
I like Jack McKinley. Very good player. I fell a little bit off of his bandwagon after the combine because, I mean, Lawson, I think you and I were talking about this when that was happening. It almost seemed like he was having a hard time paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be doing a drill, and he'd just run off in the complete wrong direction from what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys where he'd get barked at a couple times and then just told, hey, don't even do the drill. Don't worry about it. And again, is that nerves? Is that a mental lapse? Because you don't really see any, big miscues on film. But if he's coming in to be a pass rusher, you got one job, my man. Don't worry about dropping this way, dropping that way, footwork, this and that. Go get the ball.
He's what Randy
Gregory quarterback.
Yeah, was supposed to be, but better.
Yeah. And I'm more surprised here that we didn't go to the secondary, considering we lost seemingly everybody in the secondary. Also, I don't know if you saw it, but one of the projected starting quarterbacks, his name is slipping my mind now.
Anthony Brown?
Tattoo of a Ruffles chip right here.
Oh, yeah, Anthony Brown. Yep.
With number 189 under it.
That's the only reason I know him is because he ran fast and was from Purdue, and I went, dude, Purdue got someone that was fast? And then it's like, oh, shit, that dude's in the NFL playing for the Cowboys as a starter.
Because I have a chip on my shoulder. And
man.
A Ruffles chip.
Yeah, Jeremy, it's like those Johnny Curtis promos from WWE like 5 years ago. The chip on the shoulder, the crying over spilt milk shit.
Yeah. I mean, the secondary is awful. I mean,
but you
coming off injuries.
Skandrick's also like 30-something.
Barry Church is gone. All you have is Byron Jones, realistically. And that's why in my mock draft, I had him with Obi Melifonwu, kind of pairing him up with another UConn kid. Seemingly the most, athletic safety duo of all time, perhaps. But Jack McKinley's a great pick there, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah. And if they were to go secondary, I would prefer them to go corner just because like you said, they've got Byron Jones on one side, and then they can the other with Jeff Heath and Kayvon Frazier, who's in his second year.
Jeremy, what do you think of this from Rob? Cowboys go Peppers. Jerry Jones would eat up the media coverage.
I mean, from a football standpoint,
where do you put him in that system, man? I mean, he would start at any of them, but like, where do you put him?
I think he starts any position, but also this goes back to what I was talking about with Eddie Jackson, is getting someone who can be, a difference maker all over the field. And as a return man as well, you put him back there and return some kicks and let him get going.
Yeah, I saw a stat. I forgot what the exact week was, but had a kick return for a touchdown since 2008.
Damn.
Yeah, the Chargers in that same boat.
But I mean, I think Jabril Peppers is a guy that you could have as huge of needs as the Cowboys do at corner and defensive end.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't be really shocked with the pick because Rob Marinelli is a guy who's been known to draft I don't know what the word is, sort of project picks who are athletic freaks.
Yeah, like your Randy Gregory's,
Byron Jones.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, but this pick,
I wouldn't. But
with this pick, I think we need a day one starter who's going to be a corner or a pass rusher. So
yeah, for sure. All right, I've got Green Bay, and I don't know. I don't think you guys have the chat open, but I do on my phone. And one of our viewers actually kind of spoiled the pick for me. He literally projected what I was going to say. In fact, he said it word for word. Hunter Jensen says, since the corner class is so deep, the Packers will take Harris or do a typical Ted Thompson surprise pick with Tyus Bowser from Houston. I am not picking Tyus Bowser from Houston because he is my 18th ranked edge rusher. And I'm going to go with the first guy he said, and that is Charles Harris from Missouri.
Good pick.
No, Harris is actually my 9th rated edge rusher. He's behind Garrett, Carl Lawson, who still hasn't been picked, but the NFL seems to think that he's going day 2. I'm kind of going along that same thought process. Taco Charlton, who I like, but I just haven't seen a good fit for him right now in any of the teams I've had. Derek Barnett, who's gone. Takaris McKinley, TJ Watt, Solomon Thomas, and Derek Rivers from Youngstown State, who is, if you guys have not watched Derek Rivers, you should before Thursday. He is really fucking good. Charles Harris is good, but he had a really weak combine. He was below the 50th percentile in literally everything, but his tape is good. And you know what? When you look at the way my board is put together, tape is king.
That's like a lot of scouts too. Tape reigns supreme. You just look at the measurables from the underwear Olympics, just to get a better sense of okay, does this kind of correlate with each other in terms of what we see and what we see here?
Yeah, like tape is depending on situations. Special exceptions. For a guy that's injured and misses a combine, it's worth more. For guys that it varies, but it's roughly between 50 and 70% of my evaluation.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the combine, I'm just looking for any red flags.
But like a really bad combine will drop you. Drop you.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm looking for red flags in terms of, okay, do we have an offensive lineman putting 9 up on the bench, 10 up on the bench? That's an issue for me, or even if those offensive linemen get in there, have a poor 3 cone, okay, short area agility is not the greatest. Or we have a corner come in and run a 4.8, like we saw with Tease Tabor. Issue, right? So that's the only reason that the combine really affects you. But if you have that tape to show it, you got the tape. That's all you want.
I almost considered giving the Packers Taco Charlton here because he's so similar to what they just lost in free agency in Julius Peppers. But I think Julius Peppers was more of like a one-off type of player in that system. And that I don't think Taco Charlton will be able to replicate anything close to what Peppers did.
Again, Julius Peppers is a different kind of athlete. You can't expect that, every prospect to put that together.
Exactly, man. All right, we are winding down here. Pick 30. You're back on the board, Lawson.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely, baby.
With this franchise here, they always kind of go after players who embody that kind
Hunter
of.
says the roommate lives, by the way, because I didn't give them TJ
That's
Watt.
the only reason you didn't pick Watt. Let's be realistic here.
I mean, part of that, I kind of don't want to be an accessory to murder. I've almost been stabbed before, so
Not the best time, I understand.
not the best timing. Yeah.
Yeah, but with Pittsburgh, we always see them kind of go with players who kind of embody that mentality of a Steeler. You know, that kind of get your lunch pail, let's go to work, and let's play some tough nosed football. And I think there's no exceptions kind of going forward with that draft mentality. I think Mike Tomlin does a great job of portraying that every year. That's why there's a couple guys in mind here for this pick. I think while they made some improvements to their secondary last year, Sean Davis was obviously a great pick for them. I think
underrated too.
There.
I mean, I had a 3rd-round grade on him, and people thought I was nuts, and that I was way too high.
No, he was definitely a solid pick. Artie Burns, they took in the 1st round, didn't quite live up to that 1st round in my opinion, but still had a productive season. I think room to grow as well. Some players I've seen in Pittsburgh here is Jabril Peppers. I think he'd be kind of a valuable pick to them, just kind of adding that versatility. I think you had maybe like a Buda Baker, Obi Melifonwu you had in the secondary, things like that. But I'm actually going to go a guy that we just talked about briefly, and I'm going to give him TJ Watt with this pick here. And the reason I'm doing that is
I thought when you said – sorry, go ahead.
I'm giving him TJ Watt because, again, I think that Wisconsin kid, hardworking, he's going to do what it takes to succeed. He adds a lot of versatility in that front seven, and I think, that pass rush there in Pittsburgh, again, getting a little old, showing its age, losing some players. I think you add him in there just for that kind of, that chase and run versatility to track him down sideline to sideline, rush the passer, cover in the pass game on 3rd down. I think he's valuable there.
And the thing with Watt is it's not just that he's a pass rusher purely, because you can put him – I mean, Pittsburgh runs a 3-4. He works well as an inside linebacker, and they just lost Timmons.
And that's what I'm saying. I think you could put him in a lot of positions in that front seven to kind of fill some gaps, rotate it up a little bit better than some of the aforementioned DBs could.
Yeah, and when you said a player that we just mentioned, I started thinking you were going to say Taco Charlton, because I had a pun lined up so perfectly, like Taco Tuesday, but but yeah, and because I put it, as soon as you started saying a player that that we just talked about, I put in the comment section Taco Tuesday, anyone, and now the comment section is talking about how much they like tacos. Watt 3 knee injuries at Wisconsin. That is true, but he's still an athletic freak.
Yeah, and again, this is what we mentioned earlier with kind of later in the 1st round, you feel a little bit more comfortable taking players who have that huge upside and that when they were on the field have shown nothing but good things. Maybe a little bit of an injury history, but again, Watt's fairly young, comes from a great lineage. He's going to bust his ass to get back on the field because
he's the 3rd Watt brother in the NFL as soon as he stepped in.
Yeah, and 3 knee injuries is obviously alarming, and 3 major injuries is. But every time he's battled back and come back as a solid player and a solid contributor every time. So obviously there's some red flags there, but in this position, I think you can roll the dice a little bit.
Ryan says knees are overrated. Who knees them? Well done. By the way, I'm amazed that you've been able to hold up through all this, and how you're not high on painkillers right now with your fucking shoulder injury, bro.
Yeah, you learn to deal with them at this point.
I mean, fuck. I'm sitting here complaining about the fact that I'm full from eating 2 chili cheesesteaks. This man's got a fucking ruptured fucking
everything.
Everything. This man done fucked everything in his left shoulder.
Yeah, she's pretty blown up, and in terms of rehab and surgery and things like that, we're still on the waiting list, but
it's been 4 months.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It took a while to kind of get the MRI and things like that, and then see the surgeon and consult what's the best plan of action. So
man's still gonna go 2nd round. So
hey, you already know. Hey, give me 2 years, we'll be talking. With the 3rd overall pick, we're taking Lawson Morassutti. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, man. I mean, we gonna be talking. It's gonna be Jeremy, Andre, and myself. We're gonna be talking about how Lawson's going 3rd overall.
That's it, baby.
We might be talking the CFL draft, but
hey, whatever it takes.
Hey, whatever it takes, man.
Just don't
All
slide
right.
me down the board.
Now, coincidentally, as I said earlier, Jeremy was born in Texas, which is why he's a Cowboys fan, but he lives in Atlanta now, and he's picking for his hometown team right now.
Give him the Hawks.
No 28-3 leads to be blown here.
Oh my! People still haven't gotten over that, man.
Nah, man, that's the new Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
The day after the Super Bowl was like just on campus. It was like a ghost town. Everybody was just so depressed.
Yeah, man, it's like, being in Cleveland.
Yeah,
that's right. I brought that joke back.
But then again, we got to talk about Cleveland doing the 3-1 comeback, so they were probably pretty happy then. But
there you go.
I mean, for the other 300 and some odd days of the year, 55 days, 63. How many days are in a year? 365 days, 364 days of the year.
Hey, Ryan. Nobody gets drafted in the CFL draft. That's not true. All of our offensive linemen are good, and let's not forget Brandon Bridge, Toronto's own. This dude should have been the third or fourth quarterback taken in the NFL draft in 2015.
Hating on the Canadians.
And if they do, they go to the NFL. Well, yeah, because if I had a chance to make $3 million a year over $50,000 a year, I'd take the $3 million.
Absolutely.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. Get back to your pick, Jeremy.
Atlanta.
It's all good.
Let's go Red Blacks. Ryan, you can leave now. Fucking Red Blacks. Fuck out of here. Fucking lumberjack looking uniforms and shit. Jeremy has no idea what we're talking about right now. You've seen about 4 minutes of CFL ball on ESPN, but I had to explain to him what a rouge was.
Oh, shit.
But Atlanta.
I broke him.
They're the Falcons. There really isn't anywhere I would go off. The only really offensive player I would put here is Forrest Lamp, but obviously isn't on the board. So looking at the defensive side, really hit it out the park with the linebackers last year with Devondre Campbell and Deion Jones. Secondary is pretty good. You could probably slot a corner or a safety, but I think they need another pass rusher to put alongside Vic Beasley. They got a pretty good year out of Grady Jarrett last year, especially in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. He won. He was Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, yeah, big time. Monster.
We've been talking about him a lot, but, yeah, to put along on the other end of Vic Beasley, I'm going to give them Taco Charlton.
Taco Tuesday!
Good one.
I literally started typing in Taco Tuesday instead of his actual fucking name. That is embarrassing. And I'm going to finish this off because I had the 11th pick with the New Orleans Saints, and we're back around the clock, 32. And this is really easy for me because there is no way I'm letting this man fall out of the first round on my channel. And no, it's not Gary and Connolly. It's Sidney Jones. I am not letting my favorite player in this entire class, and if he was healthy, he'd be probably my third or fourth overall player, fall out of the first round.
That's fair. That's a
when it comes to Sidney Jones's tape, I see a lot of what I saw out of Jason Verrett. And
my boy
too, man. My boy too. Back in 2014, Verrett was 14, right?
Yes,
14. My favorite players from that class were Teddy at 1, Clowney at 2, Khalil Mack at 3, and Verrett at 4. And I hated when I heard, Kyle Fuller and this guy's better. And Justin Gilbert. Well, I liked Denard too, but Denard was my number 2. He was like my 13th ranked player. But I mean, they hated on Verrett because he was 5'9".
Yeah, everyone said his size he can't play, and I was like, Fiva's my boy. He was the one corner. I knew we had to go corner that year, and he was the one player that I wanted above everyone else. And as the pieces kind of kept falling, we picked late. We picked 25th, And I knew that before us, there was a bunch of teams looking to get a corner as well. And we kind of went on a little bit of a run with the Bears, then the Bengals, then us. Worked out perfectly. We picked FIVA. Best pick.
And I see that what I mean when I see similar things with Jason Verrett is, as far as play style, I think they're almost identical, even though Jones is 6 feet and Verrett's 5'9", but they're very physical corners that are like, Verrett was short, but Sidney Jones is a very slim built dude. But his technique is out of this world. He's got the best technique out of any of these corners. He's arguably got the best ball skills out of any of these corners. And like, if he's healthy, he's a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think, in the middle of the season, everyone was kind of like, oh, well, maybe he'll sneak in at the first round. And I kept saying, like, no, he's going to go top 10. And he was actually starting to get that type of attention at the combine. And then the pro day happened, and it's because the pro day was so goddamn close to the combine. It was literally 4 days after. He didn't have enough time to properly prepare himself, and it blew out his Achilles. And as someone who's had an Achilles injury in the past and has fucked up his Achilles and blown out his Achilles, I mean, I think he's going to come back from it a lot faster than I did. I mean, they're saying 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
That means that he would be ready by, at the latest, October, which would mean maybe he plays in the last 8 weeks. Maybe they redshirt him. It's the same thing as Jalen Smith last year. You and I believe we picked Jalen Smith in the first round last year. He went early second, and there was a lot more question marks around Jalen Smith.
Yeah, that's the thing. It depends on, I think, the type of injury. An Achilles tendon injury, people tend to come back a little bit better than, ligament damage and things.
Nerve damage in Jalen Smith's case, and they weren't sure if he was ever going to play at one point.
Yeah. I mean, the Achilles is, definitely something that is, a little bit better if we're talking, better circumstances with a major injury. But as opposed to an ACL or, MCL, PCL, ACL, whatever you want to talk about, Achilles is definitely the more fortunate of the two. But again, the situation is just, it's sad to see, someone hurt themselves like that.
Yeah, man. Anyways, so that wraps up our first round. I just want to kind of go through some of the top names that are still on the board. Carl Lawson is still out there. He's my 8th ranked player. Gary and Conley, but I mean, given what's literally came out today, I'm not surprised. Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, fell out of first round.
Player, still there.
Yeah, Davis Webb, those kind of quarterbacks. I have Marlon Humphreys here, Tre'Davious White, Kevin King. I think all those are corners that could definitely be in the top 10.
Buda.
Or not top 10, but yeah, first round. Buda Baker was another name I was about to say. Even Chidobe Awuzie. Chidobe Awuzie is still in there.
Ryan Ramchick.
Yeah, fair. That's a good point.
Quincy Wilson.
Obi Melanfonwu.
Jabril.
Yeah.
My dude, Deion Dawkins.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, we didn't really have a ton of reaches like we did last year. I mean, Lawson, you picked Jason Spriggs in the first round, top 20 last year when he was my 70th ranked player.
Hey, but did he have a good season though?
He did. Biggest reach we had was Adoree Jackson, because he's my 54th ranked player. Oh no, Curtis Samuel, because he's my 58th ranked player.
That was a reach. Jackson was also a pretty big reach.
Oh no! I stand corrected. It's actually Charles Harris, 63rd.
Oh, there you go. Didn't you pick Charles Harris too?
I did.
Yeah. This guy.
You know what? He fits the system. I'm gonna give myself shit for that. Don't worry. Dude.
Yeah, we still have some great names on the board in terms of Evan Ingram is a guy I could see in the first round just based on speed and athleticism. Dan Feeney, Deion Dawkins, things like that.
Went to your high school, Jeremy?
Evan Ingram.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good player. I like him. He's moved up big time because I think he can definitely play that wide receiver role. He's my 50th ranked player. And a month or so ago, he would have been 70s, 80s.
Some of the numbers he put up at the combine, well, all the numbers realistically.
Oh yeah.
Blew me away.
When you think about it, he's really not a tight end. He's a wide receiver.
No, yeah, he is. And obviously we've known that since he was at Ole Miss, but
oh yeah.
I definitely think he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He'll get in there. Some other names, John Ross we missed. We didn't have John Ross in the
John
first
Ross was not picked.
Zay Jones, if you consider them.
I mean,
Alvin Kamara is a borderline first round.
Some might still say Tim Williams. I've got him at 78, but because, I mean, he's not built like an edge rusher. He's not really athletic enough, as we saw at the Combine. Jalen Tabor, 82nd. I mean, these are probably guys that have, because of just how unathletic they really show that they are, they're probably going to fall into maybe even day 3.
Yeah.
One guy that always makes me laugh in terms of that new age tight end that's more or less a slot wide receiver is Bucky Hodges, because I have seen people swear up and down that he's a tight end. This man ain't never blocked nobody. Like, he's never blocked a person in his life.
No, because they didn't run a traditional
hell no.
Virginia Tech.
And but it's like, oh well, because he's 6'7" and 250, he's a tight end. Well, no, he's not.
No.
But just before we go, I just kind of want to go around just one last thing before we get out of here, because we've gone almost 2.5 hours. But hey, that time flew by.
It did.
Yeah. I want to get, obviously I said mine. My favorite player in this class is Sidney Jones. Lawson?
Hey, my favorite player, we're going to go to the top of the board at number 3 here, Jamal Adams. I think when you draft someone like Jamal, you're bringing a guy who's going to be a leader from day one, and he's not, afraid to kind of voice, his leadership and lead by example and things like that. And I think he's going to have an immense, impact on the locker room, on the field, off the field, whatever else. I think he's going to come in and be a player who can play in the box safety and more of a strong safety role, make tackles in the box and chase him down. I think he's going to play, over the top in a free safety position, maybe patrol the middle of the field between numbers, between hashes, whatever you need him to do. I think he's a do-it-all type of player, and I think he's just a dog overall. Like, he's just going to get the job done from day one. And, definitely excited to see him in the pros, and obviously hoping that he falls to us at 7, but I'm not too hopeful about that.
Jeremy?
If I had to pick one player, probably go OJ Howard, just with
I thought you were going to say Deontay
versatility
Foreman.
I mean, fully biased, I'd say Deontay Foreman, but
hey man, Lawson and I love us some Foreman tape, man. We love Deontay Foreman. I hate when I see like, oh, he's a 4th round pick. No, he's not. He's going round 2. And one last thing, how many QBs go round 1? Lawson?
Fuck, that's a tough question, because I'm looking here and I've heard, rumors of Cleveland trying to get up there to take one. I think maybe in the top 10, the most likely candidate we have is maybe the Jets. Maybe the Jets at 6, taking Trubisky or something. Jacksonville I've seen as well. So I think later when we get down to, Cleveland, Arizona, who else do we have here? Houston, Kansas City. I think all those guys are prospects. So I don't know. I'm going to say 3, 2.
2. So just Watson and
I think it depends on preference, whether, to Arizona, I think you could get a guy more of like a Deshaun Kaiser or something like that, who maybe has more pro intangibles, but they just need to develop a little bit further. And they already have someone, in Palmer who can mentor and kind of groom a guy for 2 years. So he could go there. In terms of who the 2 you take, I think it's entirely up to the needs of the team and what they value most.
Jeremy?
I mean, I'd say at least 3. I think quarterback. I think at least one goes past Cleveland's pick at 12. And then you've got multiple teams in Arizona, Pittsburgh, Houston, even KC, who
someone trading back in too, like that.
Yeah, who don't necessarily need a quarterback, but could draft one just to sit for a couple years and develop. So I think at least 3. I wouldn't be shocked if there was 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think in that second round, you're going to see a run on quarterbacks. Day 2, you're going to see a bunch taken off the board.
I wouldn't say a bunch, because I don't think there are a lot of great quarterbacks in this class. I'm going to say 3 in round 1. I think likely in order: Trubisky, Watson, and Mahomes. And then I think at the top of day 2, you're going to see Kaiser. And even though he's not worth, even as a Cal fan, I don't see second-round talent with Davis Webb, but I think that there are enough people in the NFL that think that there is. And then I think that might be it as far as the first 2 days. And I think either late day 3 or late round 3, early round 4, you're going to see probably Nate Peterman and Josh Dobbs. But as far as day 1, only 3. That's going to do it for today, guys. As always, I am Mike, a.k.a. the King Kraken. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's Mike Spencer, KKS. Lawson doesn't have Twitter, so he gets to avoid all of your backlash for this. And if you want to go bug Jeremy for, whatever reason, you can find him at Texas Homeboy 1. And as always, guys, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you have 2.5 hours and your friends have 2.5 hours, they can come and watch this back. Look at tomorrow. We're going to put up, we're not. I'm going to put up 1 through 32. What I actually think will happen. Not, no biases on my own part. 100% realistic mock draft. Which, of course, none of my picks are going to be incorrect, and I am right on 100% of the time. And so suck my dick. Yeah, suck my dick. So until next time, guys, for Lawson, for Jeremy, it's been fun. Thank you for sticking around.
Been real.
Same time next year, boys. Maybe we'll get in Andre.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, man. Take it easy. Talk to you guys later.
Peace.